Hello and welcome back to the Irrational Passions editorial Game of the Year Deliberations 2018. I'm Alex O'Neill, editor-in-chief, and with me, regional best boy Logan Wilkinson.
I got these motherfuckers doing podcasts with me for 4 days, and on the last day, they finally tell me my video's been hitching the entire time. You're trying to fucking slide us into the finish line here, guys. All right. Hi,
We're
I'm
gonna
Logan
slide
Wilkinson.
into the finish line. We're gonna Game of the Year. Resident Toad Amiibo lover Jurge Cruz Alvarez.
Hello there.
Resident Splatoon Amiibo lover Mike Burgess.
Hi there.
Resident Little Mac Amiibo lover Quin Hoffman.
Howdy.
And biggest member of my heart, Scott White.
Wow.
I don't. You picked it up, but the delay is like, fuck. What kind of amiibo does he like? I like this guy.
I would have been great if you just had all of them, and whatever I said, you would have picked it up.
It's true. I have them all in my closet. They're over
fires.
there.
It's too far. It's too far. We are here, the six of us, once again. This is day 4. So if you are just coming in now, I mean, actually, some people might come in just to hear what the top 10 is.
That's true.
That's fair.
So if you're
Welcome.
just coming in now, welcome.
You've made a mistake.
You also get psyched out because we're not going to talk about actual Game of the Year for another hour. At least.
Yeah, we got like a little bit
We
to get
duped
there.
you still.
But we will recap. Honestly, this would be like a retelling of 2018 in many ways. With this,
Yeah. Yeah, these categories
For sure.
really they do fit each other very well. Just to give a little intro here, we have the Irrational Passion editorial team. This is our first time, probably the last time we'll ever do Game of the Year.
No.
Not sure. First time we were doing Game of the Year as an editorial team. We have done 6 categories. It only took us like 12 hours to do those other 6.
Gosh.
And you can listen to the other days to hear those categories or watch the videos that Mike produced on irrationalpatch.com YouTube channel to see the winners and whatnot and runners-up of those. A couple of things at the top here. Don't take it personally for both us and you, listener.
Mhm.
We're just 6 people, right? We don't represent all opinions. So if we dunk on something that you might love, I'm sorry, it's not personal.
All men.
Yeah,
Um,
6 dudes don't. Yeah, we are not clearly not the.
Yeah, we're not
representation
the
of any-
most diverse group, but we're gonna try. We
Yeah.
have varying opinions, so spoilers are fair game. I don't think they're gonna come into play a lot here today, but if we talk about something that you haven't
There.
played yet, maybe you can play it before we talk about it, or you listen to us talk about it. And be nice, be kind to each other. It's a new year. This is the first one of these we're recording after the year has sunsetted.
Greatest year of all time. We're going to start it right now. It's happening right now. With
The
these
GOAT
discussions.
year.
Hashtag,
2019.
goat year.
hashtag New Year, new memes.
Hopefully you've been enjoying these conversations because you're about to get a whole lot more of them. Today's categories: best game that might have been overlooked in Irrational Passions editorial team's top 10 games of 2018. So I'll say this at the top here. For the most part, all the other categories we're doing 1 winner and 2 runners up. For the top 10 games of the year, we are doing 1 winner and 9 runners up. In no particular order. So it is not a numbered, ranked top 10 list. It is a list of 10 games that we can kind of openly recommend with one we hopefully think represents the 6 of our opinions. Maybe a little Jarrett sprinkled on top. He didn't give us a take for that one, but maybe we can sprinkle a little Jarrett on there. And can openly recommend to you as the best games, in our opinion, from 2018. We'll kind of the philosophy behind that, just to mention it, is like I wanted to be a little bit more inclusive. Originally, I just wanted to do 10 games with no winner. So here are the 10 games of the year. But enough of us wanted to
Very
have
divisive
a game of the year. So we will have 1 game of the year that we will come to some kind of agreement on, and 9 other games that we think are really, really, really great and that you should also play. Let's start with best game that might have been overlooked. The description for this category that I wrote is a game that one or many of us played, enjoyed, and didn't hang with the other games, Game of the Year contenders. A game that left the dialogue as quickly as it came in. I think I left it a little bit vague here, but the intent there is that it is a game worth playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not because there are certainly games on this list that came and went that maybe you don't necessarily need to play.
Mhm.
But I think there are games that came and went that we still feel really good about.
Mhm.
That we haven't. We wanted to have like a category where we could talk about all of the things that nobody's talking about. pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
It's
they
sort of
got-
memorial service.
Yeah, they kind of got, and it's some of them
Overshadowed by
Yeah.
other bigger,
Yeah,
more
exactly. That's what I
popular
was gonna say.
titles.
Definitely, like
Mhm.
some stuff just got overshadowed, but it's still very
Mhm.
good.
Sometimes that was like time of release.
Yeah.
Sometimes that was just like maybe it's not a 10 out of 10 game or a 9 out of 10 game. Maybe it's like a 7 out of 10 game, but it's still cool, and we want to talk about it, et cetera, et cetera. So I added a couple to the list here, and I added a couple to the other list because I haven't really been adding as I've been thinking of them. But here's the list as it stands. We're going to narrow down to 3 games. Iconoclast, Far Cry 5, Mario Tennis Aces, Omen Sight, Moonlighter, Swords of Ditto, Vampire, or Vampire.
It's
Oh,
Vampire.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Vampire. Jurge just says it wrong.
That's true, he does. WarioWare Gold, Nino Kuni 2, Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido. Sorry. Earthfall. And somebody wrote Boo.
It's probably Jared.
That was probably Jarrett.
Yeah. Deltarune. And somebody wrote LOL in parentheses after this.
That was me.
Kirby Star Allies, Forza Horizon 4, A Way Out, Yoku's Island Express, Onrush, Gorogoa, which we now that's just immediately get cut. I'm sorry, Gorogoa.
Yeah.
Graveyard Keeper, Detroit Become Human, Return of the Obra Dinn, The Missing, J.J. Macfield and the Island of Memories, Red Strings Club, The Quiet Man, and Darksiders 3.
I like how Gorogoa is like, don't even think about it. It's not even the memorial service. Like,
I
just
mean,
gone.
you should play
Yeah.
Gorogoa. We already talked about it, but
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Okay.
um,
So there are some Jarrett Green ones here that he's unfortunately not here to
Not here to
represent. We
defend,
certainly have a
yeah.
take, which
Yeah.
maybe we should just, I don't
start
know.
off
right?
with the chair take.
Yeah.
Maybe. I haven't even read it.
So I have not read any of them. So just because, again, some people might be jumping into this episode. Jarrett Green hates Game of the Year deliberations, so he abstained. But I requested that he give us his take on each category. This is the Jarrett take for best game that might have been overlooked. I've played something like 40 games this year. I've become quite adept at overlooking them. This is one of those categories I'm sensitive to because my best requires me to play games on platforms. My beat requires me to play games on platforms most of you snobs are too good for mobile. Case in point, Euclidean Skies, I think I nailed that, is one of the most clever puzzle games that you'll ever play on any console, and none of you will ever bother with it. Schmucks.
I'll probably look it up, but that sounds like a fake video game. He
Yep.
just
It
made
does
up.
sound
Yep.
like a fake video
That
game.
sounds like a fake
That
video game.
sounds like a Japanese RPG.
Yeah.
Now that
Also
too.
Euclidean
Yeah.
Skies.
So still a fake
So-
video game.
That being said, there are
We
some
are.
Jarrett Green ones here.
Yeah,
I don't
The
think
Quiet Man.
anyone played the Red Strings Club, which was sort of an adventure game.
Nope.
Put up a Devolver this year. It looked really cool.
Kill
There
it.
was sort of a little bit of a hubbub. Waypoint wrote a story about one of the trans characters, and then the developer responded to that post like, "Here's what you're misunderstanding," and then they then wrote another thing, and that's how I remember. I think that's how a lot of that's probably
Yeah.
the most attention it got, but it looks cool.
Okay.
I'm cutting that.
None of us have played it,
Yep.
unfortunately.
No, Vampire. I want to play Vampire.
I want to play it too, yeah, but
But-
I haven't done it yet. Yeah.
That's a 2019 game right there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good summer months game, I feel.
Yeah,
Came out
that
in
was
the-
like game I
Hopefully,
probably
we'll
play in
have a
2019.
few slow months this year.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna cut it if that's okay with everyone else here.
Yeah.
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 I feel like
let's see.
Forza Horizon 4 is not an overlooked game.
That's
You're gonna
true.
trigger George immediately.
No, I think
a
it's
very
incredibly-
well-received game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I
And
guess
well
so.
talked
Yeah.
about.
That's true. It's like the one thing Microsoft has.
yeah,
Yeah.
you love it, George. I like no one is discounting
Yeah.
that.
No, it's a good game, I think, but I think a lot of people know it's a good game. And have
Fair
played it.
enough.
Plus,
Yeah.
with it
Graveyard
being on Game Pass, I think that was one of the
Even I played
big
it.
Game
That's
Pass
true.
games.
I've seen your Drivatar roaming around the streets. of
Roaming.
London.
Hashtag keep it up for Drivatars.
Also,
Give it
none
up-
of us
I
played
know.
The Quiet Man. Like, I love the Quiet Man just kind of appearing in every category, though.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
As it should.
People could not stay silent about the Quiet Man, I would say.
Yeah.
So,
It had its
this is
moment.
kinda-
for better and for worse.
The Graveyard Keeper. Did anyone here play it?
I
think that's
did
weird.
play the Graveyard Keeper.
Did you?
I have Graveyard Keeper. I have not played it yet.
Yeah, I had a
Um,
code for it. I haven't used it.
You guys want to hear about Graveyard Keeper?
Sure.
It's like Stardew, right?
It's kind of like Stardew Valley. Like the idea is you're like a modern day dude who gets struck by lightning when crossing the street and wakes up in like a medieval like cottage just outside of a small town. And he's like, what the fuck is happening? Where's my cell phone? My wife is waiting for me at home.
Jesus.
And then he starts getting talked to by a talking skull who tells him that, all right, you're in charge of the graveyard now. There's some magic around here, and maybe there's a wizard that can get you back home. I don't know.
That sounds zany.
It's charming, right? I think like its charm wears a little bit, but the idea is then you it's very Stardew Valley. Like I am going to mine ore to then create a workbench to then like break down rocks into like settings for like the graves, like tombstones and like little fences to put up around the graves.
Mhm.
And like a big part of it is like you are now just de facto the graveyard keeper because the other one died and you're in his house. So the priest of the church is like, hey, you're it now, I guess. I'm gonna have this donkey bring you a corpse every morning, and you gotta take care of it. So you can throw it into the river, or you can bury it. And by burying it, you build up like the graveyard, and then the graveyard is like well kept enough. You can build up the church, and then you can build up like a religion and followers, and it's like got all these tech trees and skill trees and different crafting trees.
Interesting.
It's like it's a very cool idea. It reminds me like skill tree wise a lot of Civ, and like gameplay wise a lot of Stardew Valley because you're kind of fighting fatigue and energy and you can sleep and et cetera, et cetera. You're not stuck to the calendar like you are in Stardew Valley, but there are 6 days in a week, and on certain days certain things will happen. So you do have to kind of be aware of when in the week you are. Big thing is the graveyard keeper like throws way too much at you way too fast. It overwhelms you endlessly, and honestly like there's never a point even like 10 hours in, which I played about 10 hours of it, where I was like where I wasn't constantly trying to remember what different of the like the 7-page menu was. Like what is this skill tree even for? How do I get skill points for this, because each uses a different skill point? How do I build up this? How do I make science points that I use to then unlock discoveries? It's like there's so many different kind of skill currencies. And I think like if you took the time and really, really sat down and paid attention with it and put in the time, kind of like a good game of Civ, like you would get a lot out of it. But like that first run that I've been playing at is already like a wash. And if I wanted to like really give it a shot, I'd have to start over. It was free on Game Pass when it came out. Big thing is it's got like a ton of performance issues for no apparent reason.
Really
Yeah, like,
interesting.
super choppy on Xbox One. Tons of frame rate drops. At least every 10 minutes, like it would just chug and then keep going. And it did that enough where I was like, I don't necessarily want to put my time into this.
Maybe
anymore.
a rushed console port.
Probably. If
I wonder how it's on PC then.
I've not heard anything particular on PC. It's a cool game. I'm glad I played it, honestly, because I didn't hear enough people talking about it. It certainly is a game that was overlooked. I would bet like there was like a handful of streamers that got really into it and got a lot out of it. I don't think it is the best game that might have been overlooked. It's certainly got a lot of issues. And I think like there's certainly room for games that win this to have like problems or performance issues or whatever, because they got overlooked for one reason or another. I just think like there are better nominees here.
All right. Well,
But I haven't gotten to talk about Graveyard Keeper a lot this year. And I did play a lot.
True.
Of it, so.
I had no
I'm
idea.
definitely more intrigued about trying it out now. I think I might try and download
It's
it.
free on Game Pass, so like I would absolutely recommend giving it a shot.
I have it on Steam because we had gotten some codes for it.
Yeah.
I think.
Can we talk about a game that a lot of us throughout the year were like, oh, that game came out and now it's going to haunt us in 2019? Far Cry 5.
Yeah,
Can we have
that's
a
actually what I
moment?
want to talk about too.
Logan, tell me about Far
Yeah.
Cry 5.
Can we have a moment to just like acknowledge it existed and then just move on?
Yep.
I
Far Cry
liked
5
Far Cry 5. I don't get the shit on it.
Far Cry 5 is, man, it.
know.
Far Cry 5 should have been
Literally rolling up his
cooler than
sleeves.
it was, and it also should have man. Far Cry 5 just makes me sad as a video game. Like it's good. It's a 7 out of 10. It's a good video game. But it just like, I think to me it was the Far Cry game that like finally broke me. Being like, this series just kind of needs to burn it to the ground and like rebuild itself. Like
Needs
I
an
think-
origins.
Yeah, like it just
Yeah.
needs to be like completely kind of reshaking. Like because some of the stuff works well. Like I think it's the best like outpost system of any Far Cry game, or really like maybe of any like Ubisoft style game. Like those outposts, I love doing those still, but it's still a thing of like they're only mildly better than they were in 4, which were great. Like the having like companion people with you was like kind of cool, except for like as also just like I got people with me now. Like I don't necessarily they just can also be like jackasses sometimes.
Right.
They let you like have dogs, which is cool. But
That's probably
like
right there.
story wise, it was disappointing. Like I think it was either me and Trevor or me and George, but I think it was Trevor.
Not me.
Yeah, so it's definitely Trevor then who like I
Yeah.
said like I think its villains are like the weakest of any of the 3 modern Far Cry games, and I think if like Joseph Seed, who's the main villain of the game, is like barely in that game. Like he's in that game so incredibly little, which is like I kept forgetting who the villain was. Like who am I like? Who is the villain of this game? It's just like his like 3 sibling people, basically, or 2
Well,
brothers.
he's coming
and
back,
Faith.
baby.
And yeah, okay. Okay. Like Joe, like it's fine. Like his 2 brothers were each just like whatever. Like I've said it before. I said it again. Like
Jonah and Jake.
like
Stu.
yeah, like Faith. I loved Faith. Like if
Jimbo.
Faith had been like the main villain of the game, I think that could have been like a way cooler and like way different Far Cry game. At least like whether or not like it would have worked, George. Like I think it would have been like an actual like risk they would have taken. It would have been a way different video game, and it would have felt different than other Far Cry games. And like because like Faith is her story and like her like that final boss fight is like so weird and so ancient. Like the layers of like that character, the fact that like she's not the like first, she's not actually Faith. Like it's like a name kind of passed down, and like it gets like really weird and creepy, and it's like really I like the twists and turns that were had there. Like when you kind of like explore around a bit, and like that was the one area of the entire game that like felt different, like felt like a new Far Cry game, whereas like the other ones kind of felt like this is like Far Cry 4 DLC in America now, and it's like cool, but like also
that was primal.
didn't like it didn't feel any kind of different or like distinct in any way. And like obviously the Indian is stupid, but like
I didn't.
I don't know, like they doubled down on the Indian, I guess.
Shout out to the Game Awards for just like letting everyone know, hey,
Yeah.
you're wondering, 1,
Yeah,
Far
yeah,
Cry
yeah.
5 exists. 2,
I mean,
here's
shout
the
out to
ending.
You don't gotta play
what
it.
was it? The like Arkham Knight reveal trailer just revealed that Joker was dead for that too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
also, like, Joker's dead, by the way, guys. Yeah. But like, yeah, like the ending is bad. It's got like really weird pacing issues throughout. And in particular, I think the whatever generic white guys in the mountains, that region, is really badly paced because it's such a spread out one where like it's not easy to get to areas. I think that in particular like suffers from pacing issues. And then it's all just kind of feels, it's just like a like I said it earlier, I think to George and Jared, was like, I forgot this video game came out this year. Like I forgot this video game that came out in 2018. Like
A
I
lot
would
of
like if
people
you
did.
said like that was from a year ago or 2 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, okay, yeah, it sounds right. Like it's fine, it's good, it's not gonna be in the top 3 of this list. It's
and like
I
the
don't know if it
singing
got
Walmart
overlooked.
kid came out around the same time.
yeah, it's a weird one where
I
it's
don't
like
remember both either.
I guess it got overlooked in the sense like people forgot that it came out this year. Then yes, it got overlooked in that sense. But like
It's
in
also
terms
like
of,
the best-selling video game of the year.
Yeah,
up
I know.
until
That's
yeah,
every
Spider-Man
Ubisoft
came
game.
out.
Which is,
Yeah.
But it's
It
like
it shows how disconnected sometimes like we are from like the
yeah,
actual
like
people.
none
who,
of
like,
our opinions matter.
You know,
really.
yeah.
Like,
No.
but it's
Yeah.
also that thing of like I don't know. I don't know. Like Far Cry 5 to me is just one where it's like, I mean, it's gonna be on my top 10 list, but also I think it's the quality of just how I feel
think-
about games here. But it's like
I
it's
think the-
fine. It's like there's nothing really bad about it. It's just like it's all just kind of okay. This is good. This is the Far Cry Ubisoft game. Like it's like it
Yeah.
feels like Assassin's Creed like Syndicate or whatever. Like just kind of like all right.
Syndicate was
this is
good,
like-
so
Okay, but like I think my point remains the same. Which is like it's like another
It's-
one of
yeah,
just these
sure.
games, and like they need to kind of
They did
reinvigorate
that
this
again.
series now. I'm like,
but that's
I
a
would
game
love
that would have been if that game came out this year, that would have maybe won because that game was actually good. It just came, people were just feeling the
it's
franchise.
into it. But we had Assassin's Creed Odyssey though. People love that game still.
yeah.
Good game.
Can I just say real quick, while we're having a Far Cry 5 memorial service, one, shout out to Lena Rain working on that game and never mentioning it again. But she did work on that game. I don't fucking know.
She do like audio stuff for it?
I guess, but she moved to like Canada to work on it, and then she moved back, and then she hasn't mentioned it since. Like, so I don't know what happened. Part of me has a conspiracy theory that at some point someone had a pitch and a vision for this game, and someone somewhere like paid Jeeves Gimo or whatever, and he came into the room and was like, "You guys know we have to sell this game, right? Like, what do you guys talk?"
That's the thing, like,
absolutely.
That's why it makes me like the people who were like
This is
so
Cowboy
gung-ho
Fun
about this
Time.
game being one thing and it being very different. It's like, it's also like there was like one reveal trailer they showed you, and like it's also still like a Far Cry game at the end of the day. Like I had never thought it was gonna be like some like searing take on like,
but that's not what they
the
told the
religious
press.
right in America and like the like
press.
cult, and like I never thought it would be that game. Like I had never had any like preconceived notions that it would be like some like
So it's either-
bold, brave, revolutionary game like that.
It's either that or they just straight up, the marketing people just straight up lied to press. Just straight up lied.
Yeah,
because
I think like also when that game was first announced and they had that press event, like I think things changed a lot after that point.
That
They
I think
literally
it
had a
changed lot, is
moment
what I think.
where they literally like, this is fucking serious, guys. Like they like didn't, from what press say, they had a moment where like they sat down everyone like we're gonna talk about some serious shit. And they bought at it, folks bought into it, and then the next trailer was like, "Yeehaw! Jimbo's got over there. There's that guy from the other Far Cry."
It's weird too because
There's a snake in my boot.
Explosions cut between all of those scenes, and just like
like the one part of the game where I feel like it actually is like somewhat that game that they kind of pitch people maybe is the beginning of the game. Like that opening section is like the most like that, and then like after that, like it never goes back to that kind of
The
level
dark-
again.
Yeah.
Which is what they showed press at that demo.
Yeah, and so like again to Alex's point, like I could definitely have seen this game have been like that was a part that they kept in, but like they changed a lot of stuff after that because like that feels like this kind of game, and like, you were
They
like,
would
all
have
right, this is
hooked
maybe
Logan hook, line, and sinker if he was that press event. Are you kidding
But,
me?
like-
They would have got him.
I bet that's why that game is like not super interesting. Like I bet like they just kind of
I feel
fell
like it's
back.
been significantly reworked. I'm sure.
Anyways,
We'll never know.
Far Cry New Dawn,
But
2019.
by Far Cry, yeah,
yeah,
March 2019, right, or April?
March.
yeah. I think March.
It was right
like-
before PAX.
Yeah, it was end of March because it came out right before my birthday, and I got it for my birthday.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World came out 2 months before Far Cry 5, and people forgot that Far Cry 5 came out.
Yep.
I'm gonna add the Guards Between to this list.
You gotta add a game to your list?
Hell yeah,
That's not how
Because
this
I didn't
works.
literally I didn't add anything to this list,
yeah.
so I'm adding that.
Is there
Quinn
anything
remembered
else
every
you can
video
add?
game that came out this year. That's why.
What?
Do you want to? I mean, do you want to talk about Guardians Between now, or do you want to get back to that?
It'll wait.
Okay.
Okay.
Mario Tennis Aces. Let's have a memorial service and
Yeah, same.
move on.
Yeah.
Can we?
Yeah.
Can we? I'd love to vacillate between some of the heavier hitters and some
Okay.
of the ones that we can get rid of quickly,
Yeah.
just to keep things interesting. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Onrush is a really cool game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
so I heard it's like a Dota with cars.
Some would say it's Dota with cars. Some might say that.
I too have heard that.
Yeah.
So Onrush, so for folks who are uninitiated, this is a game put out by Codemasters, who are mostly known for Dirt and Grid. But this game is weird because if you remember a video game called Drive Club, you remember that Sony was not happy with that video game, and the large majority of people were not happy with that game. And Evolution got shut down, but then the whole team got rescued. Like everyone got a job at Codemasters.
Yeah.
To make Codemasters Evo, and they made this game. It is not a racing game. It is sort of like MotorStorm, but what you are doing is sort of you're in teams, and each team has sort of objectives in the sort of sprint, which could be we need you to take down this many of the opposing team, or we need you to hit this many more boost sections. It's like a giant funnel. I guess it's kind of like a track. I guess it's a track, but it sort of feels like it's like never ending because it keeps on going until the timer clicks down. So you'd be in this giant canyon, and you have vehicles that would be like, okay, this guy is going to be all speed. So if we need to focus on getting those checkpoints, that's our guy. This person's our bodyguard because he's a giant, huge Jeep. So if you need protection, well, you drive this guy. It's sort of ways kind of like Overwatch. Actually, in a lot of ways, it's a lot like Overwatch, I guess, in that way. That
there
each vehicle
payload?
has a specific, they're part of the team. They have a job.
Mhm.
But the reason I put it on here, I think it's because it is trying so many new things in the driving racing genre. It is risky. The game runs at 60 frames per second, and you're going hundreds miles per hour, and you smash into cars, and it reminds me of Burnout, and that's always great. It looks fantastic. It just feels really, really good. And yeah, I think like it was free for PS Plus, and it's on Game Pass.
I ran that
But
game like 4 times because of the
Yeah,
TV so many times.
but all at the but the game did very not great. So much so that like
Yeah.
that studio is now a support studio, I guess, and like the creative director got like let go. So yeah, I don't know if it was because usually those games sell a lot better in Europe. So I don't know if Europe just wasn't here for Onrush or the marketing or
Yeah.
I don't know. But when I think of games that were overlooked, I don't even know anymore because
Rush, yeah.
I feel like now folks are coming to it because it's been free so many places.
Yeah.
There's still people on the servers. People are still playing it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was
in its time of release, like it was certainly overlooked. Like I didn't hear about it until weeks and months afterwards.
Yeah.
when you
there was
told
like a
me about
beta
Yeah.
like 2 weeks before it came out, so it wasn't long enough. Like
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
there was only one beta.
I think like
Um,
when we all think of this category, a lot of us do think about Onrush. I think it certainly lines up, and it seems like a really cool game.
I will say it's fun. I played it when it was on PS Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think like the actual gameplay and like the team-based stuff is there for me, but I just love driving in games. So
It just feels really good to go fucking fast as hell into smashing
Yeah.
people. Like
Gotta
it
go
just,
fast.
There's something to that though.
Jesus.
That's a big part of it.
and it's really colorful and like
you know what?
it allows folks to like express themselves through their character and through their vehicle. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Onrush
I
is
say
too
we-
much. Yeah.
Yeah, I say we
Onrush is
hold
very
on to
good.
it. It seems like a dope game.
Mm.
Anybody else got a quick hitter, heavy hitter?
Mike, Swords of Ditto. I'll talk about it for you.
If you want to,
For you.
if you want to talk about it, go ahead. I mean,
Yeah, if you
I
feel
like it.
passionate about it.
I mean, I
Okay.
like it a lot too. So, but I mean, it wouldn't be my number. I think it would be a personal top 3, but I don't think it would be like the winner for me. But yeah, but I like it a lot too. It's a really, I haven't
It's
checked
a fun game.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I know it's gotten updates since its release. I haven't gone and looked at any of them, but like, it's a really cool it has a really cool art style. It has like a really cool like loop of gameplay in terms of like roguelikes and roguelite stuff. It's basically like a, not to be super reductive on it, but it is like a roguelike Zelda. But like it's done very well because it has those it nails all of the like same styles of like the older top down Zeldas, and like it just kind of like you just kind of wander onto into a new area, and there's just something there, and it doesn't really like immediately tell you what this is for or what it does, and you kind of have to, and it kind of like it kind of nails that, like you kind of have to figure out stuff on your own, or like do dungeons and get the various like upgrades and abilities. It's I enjoyed it a lot.
It's got. Did we put it in best style? Because man, that game's got some
no,
style.
it didn't.
We did not.
Yeah,
It should have been. That would have been a.
like it would have been worth. It probably wouldn't have.
It would not have hung.
It would have not
Yeah.
hung ultimately, but
Alex
I,
feels emphatically. It wouldn't have done much.
would
Best
not.
No, I
use
mean-
of kazoo.
I mean, I
Yeah.
agree. Like,
I
It's got
did
an
like
awesome
the kazoo.
style.
Because it was fun.
Anyways,
And it's
Quin,
multiplayer, so
Yeah.
that's a fun one to
Yeah.
play with a friend.
yeah,
co-op.
it has good co-op. Yep.
Quinn, you had to say something about it.
Swords of Dota is a fun game that I wasn't expecting to love as much as I did. It's not on my
Mhm.
list, but its art style is like
It's
like
really good.
It's
Yeah,
super cute, man.
it nails it, and just like and like just doesn't like kind of like riff on. It's not like necessarily like a riffing on a thing. It kind of makes it its own with like
It's
a lot
very
of like
much like a Saturday morning cartoon.
yeah, and
Yes,
like but
very
yeah,
much.
totally. And but it like makes it kind of makes it its own, where like you meet characters and they very much feel like its own world and its own style. It's not like it doesn't feel like it's like riffing on anything in particular. So I like that
Yeah.
aspect of it.
Swords of Ditto is definitely one of the ones I think a lot of us were thinking.
I'm
about.
excited for whatever game they make next, and I hope I like it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think it's gonna make it, or do you want to let it go?
Yeah, Quinn, do you think it's gonna make it?
I think it can.
I
You
think
think it can?
I think we can hold on to it, but
Yeah,
like,
we can keep on to it. I think.
Yeah,
I think there's some other ones, but
we got more
It's
things
certainly
ultimately-
super overlooked, and it didn't help. Like folks weren't really down for a lot of the mechanics and rules of it. Like
Yeah.
they had to add a huge update to it.
Yeah,
if I remember
there's
that.
been multiple updates, and I know some of the updates have like kind of ripped some of the things people didn't like. And I know in particular with like the leveling
Yeah.
system that was originally in the game is like not even in that game anymore.
I remember Austin Walker and Patrick like just ripping that to shreds.
Yeah, it made,
leveling.
yeah. Even it was one of those things where like I see why they did it, but like it also was that other way around of like it affected so little of the game, it just didn't matter. So, but it's like not in there anymore from what I remember. But
Mhm.
again, I know they've done some other stuff like doing like new game plus-esque type things or something along those lines, or
There's the timeless update, which basically gets rid of the day system,
right.
so you have more time to explore and all that, which I think is personally that's what I liked out of it.
Yeah, it's like there was already
Mhm.
I think there were built-in things in the game that like let you explore for longer. It just took a while to like get to them.
Yeah, and I think it
But
just
yeah, it makes sense for them just to do that.
Mhm.
because then it's more fun. Then you can
Yeah,
kind of
you can just kind of
You
wander.
can have a chill playthrough.
Yes.
yeah.
So I'm gonna cut two of mine that I put on here games that I really wish. Again, this is sort of a memorial service and games I wish I had time for.
Mhm.
WarioWare Gold looks fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just a great celebration of that series. Just done so well, and it's stuck on a 3DS. I mean,
Yes.
that's how I was able to play what I did play of it. Like I played a demo, but it just looks fantastic.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Of like, if I hate to make it be like this, but it is. Where if that game came out on Switch, I would have bought it like day one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like such a smart just
They
collection
need to
of
make
everything
a new
WarioWare.
WarioWare game for Switch. That
They need to make a new
I'm
WarioWare
sure
game.
I'm sure we'll get one, but just
Yeah.
like that being an entire like a collection of literally all the WarioWare
Yeah.
mini games and things up till now, like in one game, and like even that
Mhm.
game has like its own stuff in it. Like it would have been, I would have loved it.
I think the moment it was announced that it was coming to 3DS and not Switch, it instantly became overlooked.
It was like the most
Yeah.
exciting thing from that direct for me personally, apart from Smash, and then it became one of the most disappointing things. Like
Yeah.
I remember folks like when as soon as that came up, because that was early in that direct, and I was like, well, the rest of this is gonna be a wash. They better fucking come up with something good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It also reminded me how capable of a system the 3DS is.
Yeah.
Because it's able to like
Mhm.
bring in all of the weird like, oh, here's the fucking twisted stuff, here's
Yeah.
the smooth move
just do
stuff,
all
here's
that
the
stuff.
touch stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, we can take that off.
And the WarioWare
Um,
games are great.
Yeah.
Sushi Striker, the way of Sushido looked really cool. It seemed like they were charging way too much for that game, but that was probably the best thing I played at the Nintendo booth at PAX. I was really impressed with it. It's a game where it's sort of like there's probably a puzzle game and a rhythm game out there I could compare it to, but it's a game where you're trying to like dish out sushi really quickly and chain combo it.
Mhm.
But it's like you're battling against someone.
Reminded me kind of a Puzzle Quest, that old Match 3
Yeah.
RPG thing that was on everything for a few years.
Also on 3DS, this game. Yeah, it seems cool. I don't have a Switch, and I'm not, as WarioWare Gold showed, I'm not going to play a 3DS game because I'm a dum-dum. So we're just going to take that off the list right now.
Mhm.
Okay. Scott,
Um,
do you have any on here that you?
I would like to talk about Ni no Kuni.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one that I
Man.
want to.
Ni
Yeah.
no Kuni 2 is great.
They made a sequel to Ni no Kuni, and it is somehow on the list of games that might have been overlooked.
that's
Like,
pretty
I
bummer.
think, I honestly think that the main reason Ni no Kuni 2 isn't talked about as much is because we've gotten some pretty strong other
That's true.
Yeah.
JRPGs
That's
this
very
year.
true.
Like, I really enjoyed Ni no Kuni 2. I thought it was a lot of fun. I like kind of the faster paced combat.
Yeah.
They really listened and kind of like they added a difficulty slider because people were saying it was
Right.
too easy at
Weren't people like
launch.
hacking ways to make it more hard?
Yeah, on the PC version.
I
Yeah.
think so.
On the
Yep.
PC version. Yeah.
But they just either released or are close to releasing like a big like story update that looks fantastic. I
Yeah.
love the kingdom building aspect to it. That
Yes.
was so crazy addictive. And kind of the Suikoden-esque mass army battles, I thought those were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I think
Like
Ni no Kuni doesn't have the name cloud as like Dragon Quest does. I think.
yeah, I know I'm
Yeah.
with you.
And with
Yeah, or
Octopath,
the
I think
legacy.
a lot of people. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think Ni no Kuni's biggest problem wasn't that it was a bad game. It was there were bigger named Japanese role playing games coming out this year.
I don't like. I was so excited for Ni no Kuni 2. It's one of my most anticipated going into the series. Like God of War, Ni no Kuni 2. I just got burned. No, I'm just kidding, Logan. But like I sat down to play Ni no Kuni 2, and I was just like, there was nothing that grabbed me. Like it was everything. There were so many fumbles with like their presentation of like the combat was too easy. I liked the combat, but it was too easy.
Oh yeah.
But like the thing of like you have this great intro, and then it goes immediately into a bunch of cutscenes with no voice acting for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And it just becomes like the same issue I have with the back third of Ni no Kuni 2, where it's like weirdly too quiet, and like all of like these big parts of the presentation are just gone, and it just feels so muted. It feels like it shot itself in the foot in a lot of ways. I know it's like a weird minor thing to latch onto, but like this game had the potential to be so much bigger and more bombastic and more beautiful than the first one. And the first thing that I feel when I into it is one of my biggest issues with the back half of Ni no Kuni 1. It's like, man, it feels like you didn't really learn anything going on.
Apparently, I definitely didn't strike me anywhere near as well as the first Ni no Kuni. Like the first Ni no Kuni was my game of the year. The year it came out, I think it was 2013.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
And honestly, Ni no Kuni 2 still has one of my favorite moments from games for the entire year. When you kind of get that story breakdown from the first Ni no Kuni and that like puzzle room and stuff you have to do.
That's super cool.
I thought that was so cool. I love that part. That's one of my favorite gaming segments of the year. But yeah,
apparently
I'm glad they're still supporting it, or they're still stuff with it. So
apparently, as of May, it sold 1 million copies. So I think the game did well, especially because the game is like $20 now. That's a JRPG, $20. Like if there's enough people that played Ni no Kuni 2 that are willing to get in for $20, I think it'll be fine. For me, Ni no Kuni, again, we need to move on, but I will just say that I went to Ni no Kuni 2 this year, or last year, or I guess last year now, 2019. Just thinking that looked like fucking garbage. I was really disappointed where they were going, but then I heard people playing it. I was like, oh, it's really like it's Suikoden-esque. They really like refined the combat. Like you're not raising familiars, and there's no Mr. Drippy, which probably accounted for at least 200,000 copies not sold because they couldn't afford that Drippy scratch. And there's no like Ghibli involvement. But it still sounded really cool. And my little brother let me borrow it, and I just got through that tutorial, and I was like, I'm good. If there's one JRPG I'm going to invest time in, it's going to be Dragon Quest. And I didn't even play Dragon Quest, but even if I had the time, once I graduate, I'd go Dragon Quest first, and then I'd go Ni no Kuni. Yeah. Shout out to Ni no Kuni.
I'm cutting it. It's gone.
Bye, Ninu Nana.
Pour one out.
That's a bit bummer.
Let's talk about Yakuza 6, The Song of Life.
Yo,
talk about
I'm so upset with you, by the way, George. I'm so fucking mad at you. I just want you to know that. So upset
Yakuza
with
6.
Play
Kazuma
1 or 0
Kiryu,
first. If
best
you're
dad
listening to
of
this podcast
2018.
and you've not played a Yakuza game first, play 1 preferably, but play 1 or 0 first. Do
play
not
1
jump
or
in
0
at fucking 6.
I don't
the
think
end
so.
Of the
We're not going to have this
story.
conversation. I think,
Do
listener,
not
we're
jump in
about to talk about Yakuza
Do not
6.
jump in at 6.
We're about to talk about Yakuza 6. I think you are valid and fine if you just jump into Yakuza 6.
The game is
I
going
know
to
I'm
be good, but
bad.
like you're missing so like it's like just play. Don't do that. Don't do that.
He
If you
adopts
don't
an orphan.
like,
He has
I'll-
an orphanage. He's
I'll
got a
say
heart of
this,
gold.
right? Like, I didn't feel hurt by the experience. I'm sure there is more I could have gotten out
There
of
are
it. But
5.
like,
Yeah, you're missing
but
5.
I will say this,
games.
Logan, because I've played Yakuza 6 and you have not.
It's true, but I'd
there-
also say that it's Uncharted 4-esque.
There is a great setup to the story of that game.
Yeah.
And it does a very, very good job of like introducing you to that world and like that group. What I like about Yakuza 6 is that it's I'm trying to think of like a comparison. and weirdly enough, all I can think about is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles in Time.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
Whoa.
Which
the
is
one-
not
that's-
like
that's-
a valid
That's
comparison.
what
nor is it the one
Michelangelo.
that, like,
Kazuma
Well, I
Kiryu-
suddenly don't want to play Yakuza
Kazuma,
6.
Yeah,
Kazuma
it shuts
Kiryu gets
down.
shot back in time and meets some samurais.
But like
The
you
Samurai
are-
Age. Yeah.
you spend that game with a new group of characters that are very unique to that game. I don't know how deep into it you are, George.
I am like chapter 2,
Okay,
so not far at all.
but like you go to like a southern city in Japan,
Yep.
and you meet this kind of ragtag group of characters, and they are kind of like your core group for that game. And then like at first you're adversaries, and then like they just love you, and it's very cute. And the one guy keeps calling you brother. It's very cute. And he's like a tough guy, and he tries to be a tough guy. Yeah, I like Yakuza 6 is a great game. It is weird that I feel like not a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like Yakuza fans out there. I know they are.
yeah, I was gonna say. I
Um,
don't feel like. it
But
was
also, like,
bad
their
for-
dollar is being stretched really far. Like they're
Yeah,
like,
a lot of Yakuza games come out.
yeah,
Yeah.
here's 0, here's Kiwami 2,
Like
here's
four
this-
Yakuza games in like not even 2 years
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
time span.
So it's
But-
weird that a lot of them aren't talking about 6. Maybe a lot of them are new fans that like I know.
Yeah,
right? And they're
they will
waiting to-
eventually.
Yeah, waiting
Waiting
to play-
for the HD remasters of 3 through 4 or 3 through 5 that they're going to be releasing.
Yeah, so I don't know, but Yakuza 6 is great.
It's very
I-
good.
It did a wonderful job of introducing me to Kiryu as a character, and like having me like fall for him. Like, the game is ridiculous. It is a Yakuza game. It's over the top. It's absurd. You eat and then you get experience points.
Yeah.
You go to
It
the
is-
gym, and the gym instructor challenges you to eat a certain thing
Mhm.
to get extra experience points, and he'll chide you if you fuck that up.
Yeah.
There's a side quest where a dude with a selfie stick is trying to capture something on video that's cool enough to get him 1 million subscribers. Like there's
I need to play this fucking game.
there's stuff in Yakuza 6 that is like great. I don't know. Like I love that game. It's one of my favorite games of the year.
It's such a feel good, like, so like that game has, like, I think they did a great job. And shout out to the Sega localization team, because I hope they're being taken care of well, because I'm worried like at the rate they're working so well at, and so like it's like nonstop. And this game does such a great job of onboarding you to like who this character is, what he has gone through, where he's at now, and just like it's like a granted it's like a 2-hour intro of like cutscenes and cinematics. But by the end of it, I'm like, yep, I'm all on board. Kiryu, you're gonna make it. You're gonna retire. You're gonna raise these orphans. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right, guy.
I want
See,
to
for
say
me,
real
I'm not
quick.
arguing that point. I would say again, just my point that I think the game can do the best job any game's ever done at introducing something. I still think that without playing the other games, there's something lost, there's something missed, right? That's all I'm saying.
Logan,
Right? Like,
why you gotta be like this?
Like I'm just
Why
saying.
is
Like,
this the mountain you gotta die on?
I think Uncharted 4 does a great job at introducing these characters in these worlds, but I think that if you don't play 1, 2, and 3, you're still missing something.
I think this is a
key
better
from
job
those.
of Uncharted 4, though.
And I'm
like,
not saying it does or doesn't. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I think that's an easy comparison to make. And I think that like if without playing, like again, like Yakuza games are fucking long, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you're missing hundreds of hours with
Sure.
these characters. And so like I think there is more gained from not jumping in at the end of the story than if you had played the other games.
I'm
That's
just
all
saying to
that's what I'm saying.
listeners,
Like if you're somebody on the internet right now listening to him, play Yakuza Kiwami 1. 'Cause it's fucking great. Don't play 2. Just skip that. Don't go
I'm
to 2.
playing Kiwami 1 right now. I'm working through that.
It's great.
How is
I
it?
just want to say the Yakuza 6 does a great job of onboarding people. And I also know that the other games, like they sort of stray from the story of Kiryu. And so this
Yes.
one comes back and focuses on him. And I think like
It's his
it gives you
story.
enough context to like you care about what this character has gone through and why you're fighting for. Like really, he just wants to live in peace. And I'm, as someone who just started the game, I'm excited to like go through that story. And I'm excited that unlike if I just played like the other games, like it doesn't, I will get my happy ending by the end of this. Like I will be introduced to this character and I will get that happy ending. I assume, I fucking. They better. I fucking swear if they make a.
It's the
sad
end of the
ending.
series. I mean, they've made it very.
Yeah.
How they word.
They've described it as the end
of Kira.
Kiri's story. That is all I'll say. I think
Okay,
you'll be.
well,
I
Nathan
think
Drake
you'll be
hasn't
very
died,
satisfied. I think you'll be very satisfied at the end of this game, George. I'll say also real quick, just to interject, it's important in the conversation of 2018. Sega as a company announced in October or September that they had reduced long overtime hours by 80 to 90% throughout the year. So ideally, the team that localized this was treated very well.
Jesus, guys, those guys, man, and they're working on Judgment now, which
Judgment.
Judgment
I'm pumped
looks
for
dope.
that.
That game looks dope.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Yakuza 6 is not a top 3 game in this category, but it's great, and everyone should play it. You should play all the Yakuza games because they all seem pretty great.
Well,
maybe not Kiwami 2.
Maybe not Kiwami 2.
But you should at least play
Otherwise.
Zero, Kiwami, and Yakuza.
I mean,
Yes.
in many ways, 6 refers to like the stuff that happens in Kwame 2 is very
they
important.
skirt that shit right under the rug.
I would hope so. It's like Kiwami. That's the thing. Like again, from playing Kiwami 2, the issue when it came out, and like reviewing that is just like even in relation to how it dealt with 1, like it's such a different fucking game than like 0 or 1 is. It's so weird, and then it's like it's just like and it just feels like they had not played those other games. Like the people who like built it hadn't played the game. They're like, let's make a Yakuza game now. And it's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. I guess this is where we're gonna go with it. And it's like, I wouldn't have gone those directions.
I'll say this: the thing that hurts Yakuza 6 the most, and I don't even know this character that well, there is little to zero Majima in this game.
Yeah, there's no Majima.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He gets sidelined in this game. He is in it, but he is not a big.
And
part
it's
of it.
interesting because, like, for Kiwami 1, they had to inject more Majima because they released 0 first in America, and they realized, oh fuck, people, or just like in general, he became such a character in the series. Like, we have to inject more Majima in this remake of 1. So,
Majima's great.
He's great, and again, like especially in 1 where he has such a expanded role, like he's really, really great. Like he's a fucking psychopath, but he's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Yakuza 6, very good game. I can also knock this one out. I assume I'm the only one that played Deltarune here.
I started
it
and realized I don't think I need to put it in my life.
Yeah, you probably don't need to. Deltarune is cool. I did not finish it.
Right. And Toby Fox himself would probably agree with that.
Yeah, Toby Fox, it is more of like a, hey, I'm working on stuff for the people that care, and hey, if you want to work on stuff with me, here is the idea that I have. Come help me out. I will contact you. Deltarune is cool. It's weird. It made me feel some kind of way seeing all these Undertale characters in a thing that very much isn't Undertale.
Yeah.
I love Undertale. It's probably one of my favorite games of all time. I like it more and more with age, and it's tricky to kind of follow that up, and especially if like you're gonna kind of take the characters out of that and plop them into a different world, but they're kind of the same characters with some of the same quirks. But the new characters in Deltarune are cool, and I really want that to come to fruition. Obviously, it's a weird thing because Deltarune is kind of like a concept pitch to the greater video game world of like, hey, help me, come make this. So I don't think it needs to be here. I think the people that cared about Deltarune found their way to it, and I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't get buried because like it came out, like everyone was hype as fuck, and then it came out and then it happened. And I just hope that like for folks who like are maybe weren't logged on in that 2-month span find their way to it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just It's a.
I feel like
I think they will.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like once it's a fully fledged thing,
I don't know if it will be though.
And they'll be like, hey, check out this thing now, and then everyone will be like,
It's if you were into Undertale, I think in some regards it is worth playing. It's like a very different thing though, right? It's not a game about choice like Undertale is,
Right.
or at least it doesn't appear to be. But it's got great music, great presentation. The moment where you first jump into combat in that game is phenomenal. And yeah, it's cool. It's a cool game. Do we want to talk about A Way Out? I'm one of 3 people here that played and completed A Way Out.
We played A Way Out.
I played yeah.
Okay,
I played
you played it, Scott.
Yeah, I played through it with co-op couch co-op with my friend Greg back when it first came out.
Nice. I played with Jacob Bryant.
Mhm.
Mike, you and Logan played it together.
Yeah, there's currently you can see our
You can
entire
watch that whole last
The
thing.
you can
entire-
watch,
yeah,
you can
whole
watch
15-part
that
series
whole
now.
last 15-part series on youtube.com/irrational passions. That is quite a thing. I mean, if you would have told me the creator of Brothers
Yeah.
would have made this game next, it would definitely be like,
Yeah.
oh, great.
That last sequence you guys feel
Yeah.
a way about. One of the best moments by okbeast.com.
Wait,
Was it really?
Yes. Yes.
Wait,
Fuck
wait,
it.
wait.
Okay, be
Dude,
so
wait.
fucking hard. Are you
Okay,
serious?
Beast is literally the heel of Irrational Passion.
Oh my god.
Is that?
Oh my god.
Oh, you're talking about okay, I thought you were saying us reacting to it. They liked a lot. So like they
No,
actually
no, no, no,
they
no.
actually
Yeah.
like
Oh
that.
my
Okay,
God. That's-
holy shit. They are.
Oh my. They are legitimately the heel of. Oh my god.
That's awesome.
To say
I'm
one
so
Joseph
glad
Ferris.
That's the case.
To quote one Joseph Ferris, if you told me my game was shit, I'd be like, no, it's not.
George, you should go watch the last
I will.
2 minutes. I would say, even
It's-
if you don't want to watch our entire playthrough as we sit here and kind of say this game is not good. Now, go to the last episode in our finale and maybe watch the last 2 minutes to see Logan's raw reactions put up against some of Joseph Ferris' words. Let's say
That was good.
It's
I
very.
gotta watch this.
So
Shout out to them getting paid though. Like that game did well. So
yeah,
shout out
that's
to
not
that.
surprising because again, it was the follow-up
very
game
well.
to the guys who made Brothers, which like is a very fucking good video game. So
I really hope
it's definitely
Way Out
definitely
is like a proof of concept, and then they just knock it out of the park with the
Oh,
next
I don't think
game.
so, man.
It's
I don't
for
know.
me. It's that thing of like Mike's like Brothers is one of my favorite video games of all time. I adore Brothers. Like I always say, Brothers is basically what Journey did for most people. Brothers did for me. I fucking adore Brothers, and so you will find nobody who was more hyped for the fact that you were getting basically a spiritual sequel, like a follow up from that game
Yeah.
by the same kind of guys.
Alex Navarro.
I mean, I was so here for it, and then even the concept of it being only co-op only is it's a really cool and like I love that twist and the fact it's kind of doing something different, and then the idea of a 70s kind of B movie thing. I was like, all right, cool, this sounds awesome still, and then it's just
yeah.
it is really cool moments at times. Like the hospital scene is
Yes.
legitimately one of the coolest scenes of the entire year. It is
I wish I
awesome.
would have brought
The
that
little
up. and-
scenes.
Yeah, I wish I had to.
Yeah, the little scenes in that game, when you are throwing a baseball and
Yeah.
hitting with each other, when you're playing Connect 4, that stuff is
Or it's-
surprisingly effective.
Yeah.
Or even when you go into
Yeah.
that one house and play one of you is playing the piano, one of you is playing the guitar. That was a lot of
Oh,
fun.
that
Me and
was-
Mike did that.
Yeah, it's very.
Or
It's just
trying on hats. I really
Yeah,
like
it's just
the
goofy,
house
silly stuff, and it works really well. But it's
Yeah.
the actual game itself is just the story doesn't deliver. The characters are fine, but again, for me at least, for me personally, there's no way for me to talk about Way Out without talking about how bad I think the final act is, and because I think it distorts and it distorts so much of what I think that game tries to do, and just ruins it in
It's
in
one
so
of
many
those-
ways. I think it ruins. And I know it's divisive, and I know that you thought it was going the other no matter what when you and Jacob played it, and I know that people have a lot of opinions about that finale, but for me at least, it just it made it all be well, these aren't even the same characters I thought they were. The game isn't what I thought it was supposed to be, and not in a cool
Mhm.
galaxy brain taking a more of a way of just all right, this is bad. It's just this is just the entire message. Literally the entire message of the game. You just fucked off in the last 10 minutes here, and it's all right, well, cool. And the fact that the game's all about I'm just a Ferris and you have choice, and it's all about your choice and what you want to do in this world. And then the end of the game is actually you not having any choice. No matter what you do,
Yeah.
it's going to go down this way. Your choice is removed from you and thrown out the window. And it's just all right, cool. I'd have picked literally any other possible end in the entire world than what you gave me. It's
You know who-
it's legitimately one of my least favorite video game endings of all time. It's
You
so
know what
it
other-
feels so disingenuous to that game and the story it's going for. George, what is the bit you're gonna do here?
You know what other directorial force took away control and didn't make you make a decision?
It's something
The
stupid.
Last of Us. Not
Yeah, and the problem
this
problem
level.
with
That's what
The
we're talking
Last of
about.
Us
That's
and A
art.
Way Out
That's
is that
art.
The Last of Us, it felt true to that game, and the removal of the choice actually contributed to what the message and tone of that game was supposed to be. And here, it's not what this game is. This game is
Last
not
of Us
that.
is not a game about choice.
Yeah,
Just to be
that's what I'm
clear.
saying.
No,
like,
but people,
very
I mean, that last that one moment that people
Yeah,
wish
yeah.
it was a choice.
I get it.
But that game's made more powerful by the removal of that choice. But I'd also say that, like, in a way, it's
Can we just
not the
cut
case.
this game from this list?
No,
Yeah,
I
and,
want
like-
to say something about A Way Out too.
And like Alex, I think enjoyed it, and Jacob enjoyed
like
it
2
more
more
than
bits.
me and Mike did. But it is that thing of
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like I think the game does cool things, and I think it does interesting things. I actually like
Yeah, for sure.
Leo and Vincent as characters, but it's just the fact that like the minute I get to the end of the game, the credits roll, I'm like, well, actually, I don't like them as characters, and I don't like
Yeah.
what the story did, and I don't like the beats that it hit, and like it just
Like-
such a weird way to end that game.
Yeah, I feel like if they could have handled it better. I think ultimately
Yeah.
what it was
Yeah.
of like
Laid
if, like
Yeah.
any sort of seeds or
like
foreshadowing
yes, yeah,
at
exactly.
all.
Yeah, like could have like done some things that made it like maybe a little bit more foreshadowy. Where if like maybe let's say if you were to have played the game through again, you could have seen those things.
Yeah.
but I don't think
But
there
it's
was
not the
But
case,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not the case. So I think
not.
like
'Cause
it was just
especially because like
it's just like so abrupt, and you can
Yeah.
see like our raw reactions to it of like
yeah.
all of
Yeah.
a sudden we're just kind of like having this jaunty
Like
thing, and
literally,
then-
we were like,
and
"Is
then,
this a
like,
dream
within
sequence?
like,
is this
not even like
yeah.
not even like 5 minutes past that, all of a sudden I'm in a helicopter and he's in a boat trying to drive away, and I'm like trying to shoot him with a machine gun. I'm just like, how did this
Yeah, and
escalate
it-
to this?
It's
most
that thing
Well, that
just, like,
escalated quickly.
Yeah, the
Oh, like, A
ultimate
Way Out is,
video
like-
game escalation moment of just like
yeah,
this
like
just
Aware is like
went to like 8,000
goofy.
in a minute.
Right? It's like
Yeah.
Aware is goofy and silly and absurd throughout its entire runtime, but it's always very much grounded in reality. And like the end is just like they jumped to the shark and went to the fucking moon. It's like this escalated to such an insane, unreasonable degree so
I don't
quickly
know.
where it wouldn't have made any sense. Like it just like it's such a it's a
Yeah.
different video game in the last like 10, 20 minutes. Like it's
It
a
is.
different
They
game. And it's like
make it like a
what is this?
crazy ass shooter.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a shooter and like weird like hunting down game, and it's like it's just such a it doesn't make any sense. And like to Mike's point, like when that happened, like it was just like our baffled reaction was just being like, this isn't real. I was so comfortable, like this is like some weird like fake thing, and it's that thing too of like, yeah, like if I played through it again, like would we see the foreshadow? It's like no, because one of the key scenes they basically just like lie to you about what happened. Like they just like remove key information that you need to know, and then when they show it to you, and it's like, how could you not have guessed it? And it's like, because you didn't show me this before. You didn't show me this information that he's like right here, and like these guys are
Yeah.
like related. And like there's like all this like you didn't give me this information to know beforehand. It's not clever like the prestige twist. It's like you just fucking didn't tell us, and then we're like, I'm creative. I'm a genius of the age here.
Let me say this.
Yeah, say Alex, say your thing.
Because again, I generally I agree with everything you said, Logan. Like, I play with Jacob Bryant, and he's like my co-op video game buddy, and like we were both like, so this is how it had to go at the very end, which is very good. It's very funny. The thing is, like, I think about that game, like my takeaway, having like ruminated on it as long as I have, like, the game has to be played with someone else, right?
Yes.
In theory, you have to cooperate, right? You cannot
Mhm.
get through that game without
You
working
literally
together
can't. Yeah.
or
you have to.
communicating, right? So like you get to this end and you have to fight and kill each other, which like mechanically, like I understand they were trying to go for something that was interesting, but it's tonally like you are playing a game through from front to back with this person. You get to the end, like I don't understand what the directive for the player to feel was like, because if you take it as seriously as the game is taking it,
Mhm.
like I imagine that last segment just being played in dead silence, and it sounds fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you take it and make it a joke, which is what Jacob and I
What
did,
the fuck is this bullshit?
and
Yeah.
it's like you making fun of this thing, and it like, and then you get like this sad ending. Like the game at some point had to choose between a narrative cooperative game and a 70s movie with a 70s movie twist. And it chose the 70s movie over everything that it chose the entire
Previous.
other point
Yeah.
up until that point of the game. And it leaves the player like confused because
Yeah.
you don't know like how you're supposed to react to it. Like
yeah. How you supposed to
I
feel
think-
to that?
we joke about like Mike, you and Logan's reaction, like of like what is happening, but like I think that is very much, I don't know if it's intentional, but like I don't know if there's any other way to react to that ending, because you can go like take it serious to the goddamn bone and be like, you're dead, you're fucking dead to me now, and kill your friend, or you can like joke about it and tear the game apart at the end because it doesn't make sense. It's like there's no normal reaction, and I would bet that is what Joseph Ferris wanted, when all he's done is created chaos.
Yeah.
And
Some
it's
people
weird.
just want to see the world burn. You know?
It's
Sure,
weird
Joseph
too
Ferris
because
is one of them.
to your point, it's like me and Mike, I feel like fell in the middle of that, where it's like we weren't like we made fun of it for sure, but I also think like we just sit in silence being like, is this real? Right? Like,
Yeah, we were
like
just kinda
literally up until the moment that
taken
like I
aback.
was shot in the chest and murdered, I was like, how? When are they gonna reconcile here? Like I was like, this is making. Like, but even then, it's that thing of like, there was like the minute it happened, how it did, it was like this is dumb. Because like even before like up until like I was killed, I was like, all right, but like they're gonna reconcile. But even if they do, then this is like a weird like 10-minute unnecessary like segue thing. And if they don't reconcile, then it's an even dumber and weirder 10-minute like segue thing. So like no matter what, it's like a weird like here's the like thing I'm just slapping on the wall at the end here. Like the game should have ended like when they landed, and it's like they do their thing or whatever, and like fuck off. But it's like they have this like it
turn it
almost
off,
feels
man.
like.
Turn off the console.
Yeah, it's almost like a weird like epilogue
Mhm.
chapter thing that like completely changes the entire game, and it's like, oh, okay, like it's a very jarring thing, and like again, like I wouldn't be like stunned, I guess, to hear like Joseph Ferris was like, that was my intent all along to like, yeah, like to seed some division, like really like see what kind of a person you really are and how you react to the situation. But it's also a thing of like, yeah, but like video games have evolved as both a medium and as a storytelling medium to the point where like you don't get credit for like trying to do something really cool. And you either get credit for doing it and doing it well, or you get no credit for doing it badly and poorly. And I think he did it badly, and I think he did it
I
poorly.
don't know. I played God of War.
And I think it's particularly egregious. And I think it's particularly egregious because the fact that Brothers is so fucking good. Like he can tell a good story. He
Yeah.
can do that. And then like you see this and it's like you have the potential to do this story well. Or at least like that's the thing, not even great, just well. Like but you didn't. Like that's the thing. Like I think that A Way Out is it's a 7, I would say a 10 video game. And then the last act is just like such a the last act is like a 3. It's like it's terrible because it's just so it's like everything you learned they just throw out the window, and it's like even like the mechanics are different. Like everything about the game is so weird, and it's like what is this? That again, like if you can watch the last episode and it's just me and Mike basically being like, what is this? Like what is this for 15 minutes being like, what is this? And it's bad.
I'm glad that you can finally get this.
Yeah, I'm glad you have this.
I mean,
I
like,
had two-
I've had this for 2 months.
I was gonna
Like,
say
I'm
you could
so
hear a lot
angry.
more of this again in that last episode too. So don't
I
worry.
have two things, and then we can just move on from A Way Out.
Yeah.
One,
I
and
already,
I refuse to have
deleted
any
it, so we're
comment.
okay.
Yeah.
I refuse to have any commentary or feedback on this comment.
Yeah.
I think on paper and hearing someone describe it, that sounds cool as shit. That ending.
Yes.
Second, clearly none of you are
Oh, God.
well read
my
in the
God.
art of the video game and haven't
I
played
hate
Double
you.
Dragon, the first seminal co-op experience, and A Way
That
Out,
is
the
true.
next,
You do.
and the evolution of co-op games. At the end of Double Dragon, you gotta kill either Billy or Jimmy or Bimmy or Jimmy to fight for that girl, and you gotta kill your
Yeah.
friend. And like in this one, you gotta kill your friend.
And this
so
is-
you're
wasn't
saying-
it-
so you're
In Double
telling me-
Dragon, wasn't it that the other brother was actually the Shadow Lord the whole time?
I don't think so. She makes you, if I remember correctly, like you rescue her, the girl, and then you have to fight for her. And there can only be one guy.
I think that's optional though. That fight at the end, I think, is optional.
Is it?
Like, I don't think you have to do it. Yeah.
This is
Okay,
what
guys,
I just want to know who.
Cage moment.
I just want to know who gets. I guess the wife of whoever survives in A Way Out 2 gets shot in the beginning, and that's when they go on their adventure. that's how Double
bitch,
Dragon.
straight up.
That's how Double Dragon 2
Blah,
starts. Yeah.
blah.
All right.
You're like,
I
whoa.
cut, yeah. Way Out 2.
Anyways,
All right,
moving
we're
on.
moving on.
Yeah,
We've talked about
I
this.
cut out. I can
Way
cut.
too much into the game. Yeah, should again.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
spent way too much time.
I can cut some things of my own here that I
Yeah.
I put Mario Tennis Aces on here just because it was cool.
It's a good game.
It's good, and like not as much as Splatoon. They have continued like supporting that game. Like they've added like
Mhm.
a bunch
Diddy's in
of
there.
yeah. They've added a bunch of like characters for free. They've added like some more single player content also for free. They like some of the issues like where people were having issues like when you had to like reset story missions, you had to like completely do them over. Now there's like or you had to like basically like when you'd fail one, you'd have to like quit out and then like go back in and like watch like the scenes in front of it again. Where now they just have a retry button. They had like add that in, which is kind of shitty, but at least they did it. But yeah, they did it all for free too. It's like all free, so it's cool. But yeah, it definitely came and went. Like I think it had kind of its moment when it came out. Like I think it came out like right after E3, so everyone was kind of like, hyping for games, and everyone just
Smash.
jumped in on it, and then just kind of like it just immediately just like poofed away. I felt like, but
Yeah.
it was fine, and it's cool that they keep continuing it. Another one, I'm not sure who put it on here, but Kirby Star Allies is another one. I didn't put it on here, but I'm just.
It was me.
I'm just gonna cut it because, like, again, in some ways it was actually kind of disappointing to me because I really liked the Kirby on Wii. I think it was called Return to Dreamland because it kind of did what this game did, and it had like 4-player co-op that was really cool, and it kind of like in ways like pushed that kind of like core Kirby 2D platforming kind of formula like up in a ways by adding all that co-op and like adding all that stuff. And then the 3DS ones came out, and those were all like good, but they were kind of just like formulaic platformers. So I was kind of hoping they would get to Star Allies on Switch and kind of propel it again, but then they kind of just made that Wii one again in a lot of ways. So it was kind of just like okay, but like not great. So
Kirby is the dinner roll fucking workhorse of Nintendo. Like we'll fucking we have an can you guys make a Kirby game in like 2 months? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, they've Kirby has been like a yearly series for like the last like 4 or 5 years, I think, or something like that. It's kind of crazy to like think that.
Robobot was all right.
Yeah, Robobot was cool. All the 3DS ones were actually pretty cool. But yeah, I just deleted both those off there. They're all right, but.
It's all
Those
right.
games are okay. You guys want to talk about Earthfall?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
I feel like
you're the
I'm
only
most
human beings on
positive
this planet who know this game of developer.
Like I feel like I'm the most positive on the game. Maybe Scott, but like I like Earthfall. Like again, like as somebody who loves Left 4 Dead, it's a Left 4 Dead knockoff. It's not as good, but it's like I enjoyed our time in that game.
It's fun playing with everybody.
Absolutely.
I don't see like I tried playing single player, and it was like, this isn't as fun. But like playing together with everybody, like that was fun.
Yeah, I don't think that game is bad. I think the game is legitimately like good. Like it's fine. Like
and they're adding to it and
to me, in a weird way, this game is like what's the PS4 video game that everybody always talks about? It's like a bit because it's like not bad, but it's like, what
is it? Knack?
Knack, yes, it's Knack. And so it's that thing like
it's Knack.
Everybody acts like Knack is like the worst game ever made. It's like it's not. Knack ultimately is like a fine video game. Like Earthfall, it's a fine video game. It's like totally like it's unremarkable. Like to a degree, it's kind of like this game's category. It's like it's just here, just doing its business. Like it came in, went out, nobody really talked about it. It's fine. Like it's not gonna be in the top 3, but it's also like it is not the worst game on the list. It's just like
it's a fun game to play with.
It's friends.
Fun.
I hope those people made their money. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't wish any of the people who made this game or played this game ill. Like the game is fun. Like it actually does really cool things. I love some of the environments. Like the one in like the Area 51 kind of base is really cool. Like action. Like some of those like monster like encounter things are actually like really cool, and how you have to kind of organize and team like strategize the kind of team stuff and like learn it over and over and over again is like really neat. Like the game does some stuff cool, and also like it's got lore for days. Like it's
probably better than Evolve.
It's got a lot of lore.
I resent that.
You don't get a trophy for the lore, which is
Alex, you would be
stupid,
the fucking Evolve stan. God damn it,
dude. Whatever, man. I don't stand for shit, but Evolve is a cool video game.
That's not true. Also, first off, that you don't stand for shit, but also,
sure,
right.
I do stand for some things, but I like Evolve.
Kingdom Hearts.
That's not a stan.
No.
That's a way of life. That's more of a religion.
A dedication.
Yeah. Anyways,
take it off.
May your heart be your guiding key, Quinn.
What does that even mean?
That means.
Why is Detroit Become Human a major release from Sony Interactive Entertainment on this list?
So actually, that's in my like top 3, because like I think it actually fits the like category definition pretty well. Where it's like we played, enjoyed, and didn't hang with the game of the contenders, which I think is all fair so far. And again, it left the dialogue as quickly as it came in. It didn't. Detroit has not won anything.
It was a runner-up.
Like again, they left the dialogue as quick as it came in, and it's like I think people talked about Detroit when Detroit was like getting ready to happen. Then it kind of happened. People were like, all right, the game is good. It's like again, like it's not like trash. It's not like amazing. It's that kind of in between, like it's great space. I think if you mean Alex,
It's
most people would say
knack.
it's good.
It's
Okay,
knack.
Yeah.
A lot of knack analogies
Yeah.
here, but it's like I think it's better than knack by quite a
Man.
bit.
That would be a
Yeah.
good category. Best
If we-
knack of the year.
Most
Yeah, like-
knack of the year.
I think Detroit is
Our
like
knack of the year.
one of the best video games on this list. Like I think Detroit's a great video game, but I also think that like it didn't it kind of happened. It had its pop, and then it kind of descended. And like I
I
think
also
Detroit,
think it's like a movie, so like that makes sense. Like
yeah,
I feel
like
like
again, like
it's
based on what
something
this
like-
category is, like I think it makes sense that this would be a game that is high up on
Maybe.
this list. Like it's
I,
and
think,
because
I think it doesn't have to be
Maybe.
cut, but like I don't know if it's
I-
a
yeah,
top
like
three
I
for
think
me.
Detroit. I mean, like I think Detroit definitely deserves its place on the list. Like, and I think I don't know, like Detroit's a weird one where it's like I feel like a lot of people, Quinn, have like made up their mind about Detroit without ever playing the game.
yeah.
And like I think so many people, and it's like, look, ultimately, I think Detroit is a complicated, messy game, and I think that like there aren't really any easy and like succinct definitions of the game that really fit it well because it's a lot constantly.
Mhm.
And like I just think that like to say Detroit is just one thing or the other, I think does a disservice to Detroit, but also just like to your ability to kind of intelligently and articulately like critique something. Like I think it's just like it's a messy video game.
it's
got
complicated.
it's got great moments in the game, and it's got moments that are really not great, and it's got a lot of stuff in between, and it does something really well, and some things that not really well. Like it's a definition of a game that like probably got like not played by like a somewhat large amount of people because of they heard the reaction was like
I don't know about
mixed,
that.
and then like I don't know, like I don't think Detroit has big a pop as like Until Dawn, which is a game that's
I
or hit
don't-
great, and like it for sure did not have as big a pop as Until Dawn.
But you're talking about in our gaming sphere, like in the top, like
I think
Xavier
sales
Woods
wise, I think Until
like-
Dawn probably sold better. I mean, like maybe it didn't, but like I think it definitely felt bigger in the moment and for months afterwards. And for like that year, people
Mhm.
talked about Detroit and
I feel
Until
like-
Dawn very differently, and like even like Detroit and Heavy Rain very differently, right? Like I think Detroit was kind of the one like it did better than Beyond in terms of like consciousness and like discussion topics. But like I'm not saying a lot. I don't think like I don't know like that's for me anyway. Like I think it's at least on this list still.
It's been cool to see people who did end up digging Detroit like represent that on their top 10 list.
Yeah, like
it's
it's
on my
it'll be in
top
my
10.
top 10.
It's on
It'll
my
be in
top
my
Yeah,
top
it's
10,
on my
yeah.
top 10 as well. I think there are games that are just more overlooked than Detroit. Like I
Yeah.
understand both arguments. Like I
Mhm.
don't disagree, Logan, that
Yeah.
it kind
No,
of
I mean like
Yeah,
I'm not
but,
saying
like,
it's in the
it kinda
category,
ca- it
but I am
kinda-
saying that yeah, like I think it definitely deserves its place on the list. Yeah.
But I think by like I also agree with George of like by its nature it is like a kind of story that you see and then it's over. And I don't know if it has exactly the same staying power as some of the other big stories of the year have, because it is a lot smaller. It's a smaller scope.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Quinn.
What game did we cut because of sales?
None of them. I don't. Yeah,
None
I
of
don't
them.
think sales should be a part of this.
I
I
thought
didn't cut any game.
we
No.
cut a game because it reached 1 million.
I-
sales.
No,
think
we
Far Cry
mentioned
5
Nino
we
Kuni.
We
but
mentioned
didn't-
it.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't
Yeah,
Far
we-
Cry
we
5.
didn't
It
cut it
was
for
Swords of what game was
it
that?
It was Nino Kuni, I think.
Nino
Nino Kuni,
Kuni.
yeah. We mentioned it, but yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think sales should be a part of it.
No, no.
No.
Yeah,
Quick
and I think like
Google
Alex
quick
said,
Detroit
like
sales stats though. I'm sure.
at the end of the day, I think like Detroit, the level as to which Detroit might be overlooked would never be the same as something like Yakuza and Express.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Yakuza's a bit differently, but yeah, like definitely some other ones.
I didn't say Yakuza at all. But,
Yakuza.
It sounded like you said Yakuza, so that's why I was like,
It does have the Yoku.
Yakuza's Island Express. Kazuma Kiryu becomes the mailman.
I would play that.
Y'all fellas want to hear about
plays it.
Darksiders 3?
yeah,
Ooh,
actually,
that's
that's
a
legitimately,
video game,
yeah.
I feel like you're gonna tell me about this, and I'm gonna get real bummed out.
I'm really curious.
Did you play? Oh right, did you play it, Alex?
I've been playing Darksiders. I'm continually playing Darksiders 3.
I'm
I
excited.
played some last night. Darksiders 3 is a weird video game.
I believe
They've
it.
patched that game since the last time I played it to add a combat mode that is quote unquote more like Darksiders 1 and 2.
That's the patch notes.
Wait, what?
No, when I opened up that game, it says, "Would you select your combat mode?" And it has like methodical, which is the Darksiders 3 combat mode, where it is slow and more paced, and you have to think about what you do a little bit more.
More Darksiders-esque, or more Dark Souls.
Dark Souls-esque, yeah. And then there is it says like classic combat, which it says more action paced, like button mashy, fast paced like Darksiders 1 and 2. which was they're adding content to that game, which is interesting. Darksiders 3 is like I know it's not helpful to say it's a weird video game, but like I have no better way to describe this game to you. Like it plays like kind of like Dark Souls. There's no stamina system, so it's not quite like Dark Souls, but it is very slow. You lock onto a single enemy at a time. You are strafing around that enemy. You are timing your dodges so that way you can get like enhanced attacks. Like if you dodge through an enemy attack right at the right time, you can do like a special like fury attack. You play as the first major female character of Darksiders, like the fourth horseman or one of the four horsemen, Fury. She's completely unlikable. There's nothing about her that is enjoyable at all. She is
what an amazing description of a main character.
She is constantly dunking on everything about how terrible it is, and has not said a single positive thing since the game started. And she is completely insufferable, and I hate her. And she's the worst. And I'm really hoping for like, and I know you'll understand me here, Scott. I'm hoping for like a Tales of the Abyss style, like mid-game heel turn here. But I don't think I'm gonna get it.
No hair cutting and
there could be a big haircut moment.
Now, I would just say, as a hot take, that's kind of how I felt about Aloy for the first like half of Horizon Zero Dawn. So.
Fair. Like I think there's totally room for her to change. Like they're kind of, it feels like they're kind of foreshadowing and setting up her to have kind of a change for her, because she thinks she's above everyone else, and she kind of sees herself as better and the best of the horsemen. And she's had some kind of more humbling moments in this story so far that have kind of grounded her a bit more. And you see there's a genuine moment where you get like a very visceral reaction from her, and she's super like hurt and like upset and like crying, and it's like really surprising, and like it just took me so by surprise. It was like maybe stumbled into being effective. It's the game feels very stiff and unpolished. It feels weird. It looks weird, but I also think maybe it got kind of a bad rap to some extent. I certainly have problems with it, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
Right.
But it also is kind of cool. Like lore wise, if you wanted more Darksiders lore,
I need to play it just for the lore is my biggest thing that I love about the Darksiders game.
That's pretty much is those games. Like that's
there's hella lore to be seen here. Cool. Even in like the early hours, like they introduce new characters, new kind of like worlds that kind of happen around like the heaven world, the hell world, and earth realm. That kind of like, again, a lot like the stuff they introduced in Darksiders 2, kind of color things a little bit differently, add more gray. They play around with the fact that like the council that the Four Horsemen work for are corrupt as shit, and everyone seems to know that but the Four Horsemen.
Right.
And they kind of throw that at the characters a lot more. And it kind of plays out like a Metroidvania. Like you are kind of freely exploring, and you get these cores that will like add an element to you. So like I have a fire core and a wind core. Like the fire core lets you double jump and like do a charged fire attack. Wind core lets you glide. Each have like different weapons associated with them. So like a spear or like nunchucks. So like there's surprisingly a lot there. It's weird. Like I don't know how better to say that it's like super all over the map. I will say this game's like the developers specifically say like if the first Darksiders is like Zelda and the second is like Diablo, then this is like Metroid, and there's no map in this game, and it's fucking terrible.
That is a Metroidvania without a map.
Without a map,
like sends like
chills down your spine.
That makes me like want to wake up in
the beginning of Hollow Knight.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. But like the way Hollow Knight fleshes that out is really cool, and it pays off. There's just been none of that. Like 6 hours in Darksiders 3. Absolutely none.
I'm interested to see, like you said, Alex, that they've been adding patches and stuff. Like, because ideally, like I think the way THQ Nordic is playing their game is that they're investing and they're here for the long term. So like by that I mean like we're expecting this game to sell well when it's at the $30 range, versus at the $20 range, versus at the $15 range, and it'll fluctuate, but we'll get profit throughout.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I wonder if at a certain point, like once it's like $20, like 6 months from now, if it'll be, all right.
Well,
I mean,
it's $39 right now on Amazon new, or you can get it like for trade-in value for like 399 trillion. Like there's a glitch, and I took a screenshot of it. I put it in the chat.
oh, that happened at Burnout Paradise as well. That was weird.
It's
Do you
such a
think,
good deal.
Alex, that we get Darksiders 4?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably because THQ Nordic has put so
THQ
much
Nordic.
money into that
It's
franchise.
just
I
out
don't know
here.
anyone that's talking about this game.
I would love to see what THQ Nordic's like business plan looks like, because it seems like I don't
They
understand.
bought
But
the Amalur license, man. Like, what are they doing?
yeah, like what's the like? I
pitching.
assume someone there like, don't worry, guys. Like we're gonna get. It's all good. This is all going according to plan.
Mhm.
But from afar, it's like, I don't know where you're going.
It's funny that you bring up like their kind of long-term plan for it, George, of like adding these patches and stuff. I would bet Darksiders 3 in February, if for some reason you don't have 20 other games to play,
Sure.
because we're in the shit already.
Like if it
Oh,
goes on
it's
Game
gonna-
Pass.
It was yeah, if it
Right.
goes on Game Pass or something this year, like that would be the best time to play Darksiders 3. I think it certainly got overlooked, but I don't think it needs to be looked at the time it came out. Like I know that's really harsh. Like it feels like the clunkiness of this game. Like it feels like a 6 out of 10 video game.
Yeah.
I know that's super.
I
reductive.
remember feeling that when I tried it at PAX West, and it's like
Yeah.
it felt, and it was at that point maybe like a month and a
month
half
out.
away from release.
Yeah.
And it was like it's unpolished. Like it,
Right. Like
okay, it's there.
Yeah.
But
I don't
yeah,
THQ Nordic's playing 4D chess. I don't fucking know.
yeah,
I
don't
just
know,
had-
man.
Darksiders just kind of blows me away how each game is like vastly different from
different.
all the predecessors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know that the fourth game, if they end up doing a fourth game, will be a third-person shooter.
Yeah.
Because the last Horseman Strife is a like
Just the
desperado
wielding
gun.
Desperado. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's what it's gonna be, and it's okay. That'll
The
be
w-
interesting.
The way this works out in my head is if they end up making the Darksiders 5 that they want to make, of like having all the characters come
Yeah,
together. Is,
co-op with friends.
I wouldn't even say co-op, but like each
They're gonna
level
they're gonna make a
that
MOBA.
you play, they make a MOBA. But like each level you play as each horseman plays like the game that they came from. So like you play
That'd be
sections
awesome.
as
That'd be
war
cool.
that play like Zelda games. You play sections as Death that play like Diablo games with loot and everything. You play sections with Fury that feel like Dark Souls, or you play sections with Strife that feel like a shooter. Like that is the way to have this pay off and have it be really cool. But
It'd be
in
really
Darksiders
hard to
3,
design, too.
yeah, and be really good. Like we're paying off, and we made the best version of all of these games, and it's one game, right? Like that would be cool, but I don't think that's going to happen. And in Darksiders 3 alone, it just
It would-
feels like a
I don't know
disconnected
if I
game.
would want like a hodgepodge of like 4 different game styles though.
I mean, I think more to the point, just like from a game design perspective, that'd be really hard to design because you have to have people who are like really good at making 4 different video games, all trying to make this game.
Yeah.
Is
From
like
an
it's a
engine
lot.
standpoint,
Make
it
it
would
make
be
sense to other people. Yeah.
Crystal
I think-
Dynamics, The Avengers, coming at you.
Again, like I think that could be a cool way to pay off on all of
Yeah,
this.
it would be awesome if they actually like could do that, but like it would. I could see them being like,
Darksiders 3 does not give me faith that they can do that,
Yeah.
and that's a bummer.
This
I don't
is their
think Darksiders 3 is the
second game?
best game that might have been overlooked. I think you probably overlooked it. I think you might want to think about it sometime down the line when it's on Game Pass, like you said, George.
There will be a time and place where our listeners will be looking at a sale and they see Darksiders 3 and like, oh yeah, that came out. I guess this
That's
price
the
is fair.
insufferable protagonist.
Yeah.
I honestly think that THQ Nordic is like 90% of the reason this game is overlooked because it was such a quiet, like under the table release. Like
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing much promotion or anything for Darksiders. And then it was just like, oh, it's out next week. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I
I
don't know.
didn't
It's
remember
weird.
hearing.
Unless they
It was a
knew-
very strange.
I don't know.
Quinn, can you talk about Guards Between?
Y'all want to talk about a game that actually is overlooked?
Yeah.
We'll see.
George disagrees, but okay.
I don't know. Like I've heard quite a bit of fire for Gardens Between, but go ahead. Sorry.
But the thing is, like, the larging, sure, in our circles, yes, but in I see this category as like the larger gaming populace at large. And I don't think this game has gotten that much coverage. It's sure it is in our circles, and and I'm happy that it is, because it's one of my favorite games of the year.
Especially for Game of the Year time, it's getting some recognition.
Yeah, that's great, and that's why I'm happy that this is happening. But no, it's a game where I think I've already talked about it in best style and all this shit. It's really beautiful. The music is awesome. Shout out to Tim Scheel for doing that soundtrack. I just found it on Spotify, and I'm really happy about that.
This is their first console big boy game. They made some mobile stuff, right?
Yeah, it's the Voxel Agent's first actual big console release.
Aussie Studio.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's a game about friends and the memories that friends make as kids, and how that goes along. It's really sweet. It's really touching. I think the level design is fantastic, alongside the puzzles, because it all revolves around time and getting certain things there. But you have to know, it's basically knowing what goes where, and
Are there hearts connected too? Because if they are, you play the Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah, dog.
You get had, man.
You've been had.
I want to explain to the listeners.
You've been punked.
Somebody pull out a Keyblade at any point in time.
Yeah.
I want to explain to the listeners, because I feel like this game, a lot of folks are I've seen so much about this game, but at no point I got the idea across of what you actually do. But it's time is already the event has already happened. You're just fast forwarding and rewinding through this little diorama of an event that happened. Let's say the characters were trying to get up this hill and they had obstacles in the way. You're not controlling the characters, you're just controlling time. And so the characters will act out what they need to act out. But maybe along the way, while you were fast forwarding or rewinding, they did something that changed the path. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
Weird. I would just say, for people who are interested, just to play it.
Sure.
Because it is super hard to
But I played it and I was like, "What's happening right now?" I want this actually.
I would say, as the person who previewed the game at PAX East 2017, I would say that my takeaway ever since and then seeing it again at this year's PAX is just I think the game is way more beautiful and sounds way better than it actually plays and is interesting to play. I didn't enjoy the act of playing it as much as I did just looking at it and listening to it. For me, I didn't love the puzzle design, and I didn't, at least the few levels I did, I didn't love the active rewinding and I didn't feel like it was very intuitive, that aspect of it. Yeah. But the game is gorgeous. The game is absolutely.
That's how I felt about it from just playing it.
Yeah,
that's so weird, because I'm totally the opposite.
Yeah, okay, I mean that's I played it.
Quinn thinks the game's ugly.
It's hideous. I played the game also, and I kind of am that same camp of I think it looks good, but once you kind of see how that puzzle mechanics worked, I felt like I was just kind of going through a motion, and it in some ways it's just kind of it felt a little you see the mechanic and it's cool, but then you're just kind of doing that motion over and over again after a certain point, and it just kind of at some point I was just kind of I turned my brain off while playing.
An acquired taste,
because it's just kind of because it's just kind of
acquired taste.
It's I just kind of turned my brain off for it for some it's a very calming, and it's just kind of all right, there's only one or two ways to kind of get to the solution. It's either going back and forth. So let me just kind of do that for a little while until the thing happens that needs to happen, and then
I would like them to make something else.
Yeah.
I would love it. Again, that's a first game, so I would love to see what they could do after that, as a follow-up,
for sure.
Quinn, I want to. I'll ask you this: with some of the other things and you see on this list, do you think the Gardens Between is going to stay there until the very end?
I think it might.
Okay, we can keep it here for now.
Yeah, I can see it too. I don't want to cut it.
Okay.
This is another one that I wish I had the time to play it. I feel really bad. It was sort of a surprise also, because it came out of nowhere. Is the missing JJ Macfield in the Island of Memories, because this was not the sweary game that we were all talking about and expecting. Yeah. We were talking about the good life, and then this came out of nowhere, I feel.
Yeah,
Oh.
I own this game, not touched it at all.
Same.
Nobshin texted me today saying, "Finish the missing. You need to play it." I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
Has anybody played it here?
It's
Yeah, I don't
literally
think
on
so.
my it's literally on my desktop.
I just want to give a shout out to my boy.
Yeah,
But
I
my
also
PC.
wanted to check it. Yeah.
So,
That's
Yeah.
sure.
It's also
A
$30,
game-
which is a fair price, but it's expensive for my situation. Right
Yeah.
A game so overlooked that none of us played it. By the missing.
Yeah. Winner.
I will say I heard a lot of positive things about it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I also don't have a PC, so I can't play it. So
No, it's on PS4
It's on
and
Xbox One
Switch.
as well.
I think I think it's on at least PS4.
It might be on
Yeah,
PS4.
I think it's on Switch too.
Yeah, it's on Switch too.
Oh
I think
shit,
it's on-
is it?
I think
should've
it's,
gotten
I think it's on
Switch.
Switch.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Xbox
it is
One.
literally installed on my PC. Like the desktop icon is literally on my desktop, and I still just haven't
Yeah.
even
Clicked
clicked it or opened it up yet.
We-
So
To our boy Sweary, we let you down, but we won't let it happen
yeah,
again.
Yeah.
Well,
Weary is the Deadly Premonition guy, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure.
Y'all, can we talk about Moonlighter?
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Let me tell you about the music of Moonlighter. Let's go back. If we can reopen Best Music, that soundtrack again.
I'd
It's
like
like,
to.
man.
I'd like to reopen Best Music.
Yeah.
Anyways, Moonlighter.
Moonlighter, yeah, has great music. It's a great look game. Moonlighter is one of my favorite games. I feel like Moonlighter is like the Gardens Between Quin. So like I feel you, because like it's on my list. I don't think it's on anyone else's list. I know you played and reviewed it, Mike, and you dig it.
Yeah.
It is for folks who don't know. The idea is you are a young man in this town. I think I explained it last episode.
Yeah.
Young man in this town who inherits a shop. There are these dungeons behind the town that have been shut down because they're too dangerous. And this town used to be really popular because the dungeons were open and adventurers would come to see them.
Mm-hmm.
But now that they're closed, no one comes by anymore. You run the shop, but you also moonlight as an adventurer who goes into this dungeon to get loot to sell in your shop, treasures and whatnot. That is the loop of the game, right? It is a run-based game, almost like a roguelike. But you're not like playing with death, right? You just kind of, if you die in the dungeon, you lose the vast majority of the items that you had.
Yeah.
And you'll have to either go back and get them or, not. So you are going through the dungeon, getting items, bringing them back to your shop, and then you have to set the price for each item. And customers will come in throughout the day and you kind of run the shop. So there's like the two gameplay aspects to it. You're not just like, all right, I put this up and it sells. You're like running and working the shop. So people will like walk in the shop, look at your items, and they'll look at the price. And if it's a good price, they'll be like, oh, I'm happy. I'll pay this much for this. And then you take them to the counter and ring them out. If it's a bad price, you're like, this is too expensive, and they'll not buy it. Or they'll buy it, but like begrudgingly, and you should probably lower the price because your reputation will go down if you don't. And if it's too cheap, their eyes will like glint with money, like, oh, I got a real steal with this one.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
you're
a lot of
using-
charm for sure.
It's
Mhm.
so much charm. You're using these customer reactions to like dictate your prices and readjust until you find the perfect price for each item, and it'll save like your last used price. It's a really
That's
smart UI for all of like the
Yeah.
shopkeeper levels of things.
Mm-hmm.
The journal and all that.
And yeah, it's really cool. And there are like burglars that'll come in your shop and you have to tackle them because they'll try and steal stuff. And then if they steal something, it's gone, right? And you lost it. So they'll usually go for the most expensive things. Eventually, you'll get like a little assistant to run your shop because you can upgrade your shop. You can pay money to have new people come to town, like a tailor that can make armor, or like like an actual blacksmith and make armor or weapons, and upgrade weapons with stuff that you get in the dungeons. So then you're like balancing the items you get as a dungeon. Like, do I want to use this to upgrade my stuff, or do I want to sell it in the shop? Things like that. Like, it is such a cool idea, and I think it's executed on near perfectly. Like, there are little bits about it that I would change. Like, you kind of noted in your review, Mike, like the combat's not super interesting.
Yeah.
I pretty much kind of found a weapon and stuck with it and then upgraded that.
Yeah.
There are kind of two upgrade trees for each weapon, but really it's like one does more damage and the other is like has more defense for each thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technical issues with the game. I played on Xbox One. I was clipping through environments a lot. I had the game crash a couple of times. The frame rate took a lot of hits. I've not looked at it since I played it in May. Hopefully it has gotten better because I know they've added content to
Yeah.
it. But
I played it. Where did I play it? I think I had played it on. The code
did you
was.
play it on PC?
I did not play it on PC. I did not PC then. I think
It's a
I
PS4?
played it on PS4. I think that's where I got the code. I think.
Okay.
PS4 or
but,
Switch.
It wasn't out
No, it
on
wasn't
Switch.
on Switch yet. Yeah, so
yeah, so it had to be
must-
PS4.
It had to be
Yeah.
PS4.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really, really like the game. I think it's charming as hell. I think it is such a unique idea. It reminds me a lot of like Rogue Legacy, of like these kind of roguelites.
That's a good game.
That have like kind of levels and layers to their mechanics that make them way more interesting.
Mhm.
All the shopkeeper stuff like really scratched like my Stardew Valley kind of itch, while also going into dungeons and dungeon crawling really scratched like a Spelunky kind of itch, or like a Binding of Isaac kind of itch. And it balances the two super, super well. It is like I was addicted to it. I was never not excited to go back into the dungeons and get more stuff and sell more stuff. It has a great difficulty curve. I think the final boss is a little too hard. I ended up kind of cheesing it to beat it, but regardless, it is such a cool game, and there's no game that has come out this year that is like it. Yeah, I feel really strong. I think it's easily, this is my winner for this category, but I think it's at the very least easily top 3.
It's your win. Wow.
I think
I feel pretty good about it. Like I said, I think I don't think I'd like it in the end. I think the shop stuff sounds cool, but I don't like roguelikes.
Yeah, that's.
So,
Mhm.
yeah,
it is still
but
kind of one of those.
Yeah,
so.
that's
Yeah, I know.
That's what like pretty much like you brought up a little bit. That's where it kind of fell apart for me. Of like,
Mhm.
I really like the shop stuff, and like you said, it's super charming. I like kind of all the characters you meet in the town, and
art looks cool.
the
style's
art,
good.
yeah, the
Art's
art and
great,
style,
yeah.
like the
Mhm.
animation are like really good. But then it's just like, I kind of just hit that point where it's like, like
The
you said,
idle animations are so good. in
like
this
you said,
game.
like the combat's just like it's super simple, and like you do get upgrades, but the upgrades don't really change anything. It's just kind of like, oh, these are doing more numbers, kind of more or less. So I was kind of just hoping for a little bit more than just that, but yeah, it's still pretty cool though.
Mike, can I ask you about Return to the Obra Dinn?
Yeah,
If only in the sense that like I feel like this is a game that actually like
Yeah.
maybe gotten the most buzz like in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
also affect like
I think
especially around like this.
I think
past,
at the
like,
time when we made this list,
yeah,
maybe not.
I think
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's more what it was. Yeah, like at the time that when we were kind of putting these lists together, I put it on there, and like it didn't really get. I kind of was. It was definitely. I was definitely feeling that vibes is like when I beat it. A while ago, and we this was like even a little bit like probably like a month or so before this. I was just like, why the f is no one talking about this game? It's insanely good and like insanely unique. They like it's almost kind of like a new genre in some ways, and like but like yeah, like it was that weird thing of like we're kind of doing this a little bit after a lot of Game of the Years talk about it, and like almost everyone's talking about it now, and I was just like, whoa, that's awesome, and I'm super glad that everyone's talking about it. So
Justin McElroy and Griffin McElroy out here. It's their game of the year.
So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so yeah. It can go because I'm just happy everyone has found it at the end of the
yeah,
year.
one best style. So
Yeah.
It got called up. It got called up in the draft. It's no more fucking bingo
Yeah,
halls.
it's no more.
who is here for Women's Site?
Another Mike.
Man, I forgot. I keep forgetting about that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
And it looks so goddamn
Did you put
cool.
this on, Alex?
It's a mic joint.
it's a mic
I,
joint, okay,
I
mic.
think George actually put it on, but it is worth,
Yeah, I think I did actually
It is-
because I'm like,
it is worth talking about because it's like it's a super cool game. Like I think it is one of those weird things where like a lot of people talk about, you know, like there's such a there for a while in games there's such a disparity between like the biggest of big AAAs and kind of this indie, and there's not really like those middle games that like never that kind of got lost after a certain point in like in this console generation, and I feel like Omen Sight to me was like that game that
Someone said it's the Darksiders 3 of indie games.
yeah it's
A hell of a description.
yeah, and it's just it feels that way of just
yeah, man.
it's super well made, it's super like unique in its
It
like
looks so
mechanics.
good.
It's a really stylish like character action game. It tells like a really cool story about like this basically your character that you play as is the harbinger of the apocalypse. So literally when you come into the game as like you kind of spawn into this big war that's going on, and you're seeing literally like fighting through this battle. That's literally when you get to the end. Spoilers, like the world ends, and then you get like warped out into this like weird otherworldly plane, and then like basically this person just goes like, yeah, you're the harbinger. You need to see how these events basically played out to end the world and to try and stop it. So you're basically taking like these there were 4 main characters that were in kind of the war, and you're basically like choosing to like jump between their perspectives and times that led up to this point in the war where the world ended. So you're basically like there's like this big bulky bear guy named Ludimir who was like a drunk, and he's like looking out for revenge on this side. Like ultimately there's 4 characters you can swap between, and like basically 2 characters are kind of like pitted on one side and 2 characters are kind of on the other side, but like depending on like what you do with each of those characters can kind of like pivot them in different directions to different outcomes, essentially, to like see like, because you're basically like trying to solve mysteries of like why was this character here at this point and doing this sequence of events that led to them to get to this next point and yada yada, and you're just like jumping through that all that stuff. So it's a really cool like intertwining like story that like ultimately like you can't really, like there is like a full on like ending, and you kind of figure out the truth behind everything more or less. But it's just, yeah, it's super cool, and like it has a lot of like the combat is like super fun. It's like a cool character action game of like,
Yeah.
like the time,
well.
it plays very well. The like time manipulation like plays back into the combat, because you can like make this like big sphere of like spawn around you, and everything gets like frozen or slowed down, and you can kind of like you can do like a like Breath of the Wild style things where like if you can like trap explosives into it, then run up to it and like smack it a bunch of times to like launch it, and you can like also like even like use it as like propulsion for yourself, where you can like smack it and then leap onto it and like launch yourself into dudes and do stuff. And it's super cool and super stylish. Like the other characters that like when you're with them, you can also like there's like a button literally like that's like with them, you can like use them to do like team attacks and stuff, and it's super cool. If any of this sounds cool, you should absolutely check
out
it
of
out.
all the games
It sounds nice.
on the list, for me, this is just George speaking.
Yeah.
It looks like the game. If it was a person, I'd be like, you should be making the big bucks. You should be like, you should be the one that like makes it out of this fucking like just forgotten games ghetto.
Yeah.
Like, it is so. This doesn't make any sense, but it reminds me of a Supergiant game. Like it just has a swagger to it. It's got
I know what you mean.
style to it.
Yeah.
It's the guys that made Stories, Path of Destiny.
It's the guy's story. The cool thing that is slightly related, but like that, like basically, I met these guys at PAX East and did like a preview for the game there, and I asked them, because I actually hadn't played Stories, and they kind of played Stories, and they kind of knew that like that people liked it, but it wasn't kind of the greatest, because it was like their first foray. It's like literally they went into this game and like basically redid their combat system like just for this game, and then they were saying like, yeah, if people like this, then we're going to kind of tweak it and make it better, and then we're going to implement it back into Stories. And they actually ended up doing that, where they like completely like made the combat systems, like the refined combat systems that are in Omen's site. They basically like went back and like refined Stories with like its combat. And
I should re-download Stories, see if it's patched.
It's kind of crazy that they went and did that. Like, because they also, I haven't played it, but they also, when the Switch version of Omen's site came out a couple weeks ago, it was like the definitive edition, and they like added a bunch of, like I think they added like a new harder difficulty mode and like a new game plus and some other stuff. And like I think that's like a free update to all the other versions, because I think it's on everything. But like the Switch version just came as that version. It just came out, I think, like last month or so.
I feel
good about Omen's site. Should be on this list.
I have a weird relationship with Spearhead Games, the guys that made this. Like I met them years ago when they were making their first game, Tiny Brains. It's a bunch of like ex-EA, ex-Ubisoft developers.
Tiny Brains, fucking shit.
Yeah.
That game.
So I met them when they were like, I think it was PAX East 2012, and they handed me like a vial, because it was like all like a lab coat kind of style booth. Like it was because that's what Tiny Brains is. They handed me a big bottle, like a Erlenmeyer flask, with a blue liquid in it, and they're like, we'll give you $5 if you drink
Oh,
this.
Jesus.
I
yeah.
drank it too, and it was water. But that was how I met those people. It was
Oh,
very
yeah.
weird. They're very
Did they
good.
give you $5?
Yeah,
They
really.
give me $5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Uh,
I'm in
You heard
this,
it here first, folks. Alex
I'm
O'Neill,
a paid
journalist,
off
taking
game
money.
journalist.
Yeah. See, I'm in like a difficult spot here.
Yeah, you got a lot of
personally,
babies
Yeah.
in the
personally for me,
race,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
because
some
like
Mike-
I'm looking at these two top games and I'm just
Uh-huh.
like I'm like fuck.
Here's some Mike babies on here.
There really
Yup.
is.
Can I pitch a top 3?
Yeah,
Okay.
hit
Say
me.
what you think.
Let's do it early.
Omen Sight, Moonlighter, Onrush would be what I would say.
I feel good about that, actually.
I like that list. I know that kills Iconoclast, which I know is like your little baby.
That's
like-
I mean,
I
it hurts.
mean-
It hurts a lot, but like I also agree like that is like a good like more representative group
Yeah.
of games.
And you still have
for us
Omen
three.
Sight there, which
And like
and
I
Moonlighter,
like
you also
Omen
played
Sight a
it.
lot, and I like Moonlighter's fine, but like I kind of
No one's talking about Omen Sight, y'all.
yeah, like it is like, but I also feel that same way about Iconoclast. That like no one, I feel like
Yeah.
Iconoclast has gotten that like pent ultimate of like it came out in January for PS4 and Vita, and I think then when it came out, it kind of got overshadowed just because like I feel like Monster Hunter World, like
Monster Hunter,
specifically
Dragon Ball.
and
Mhm.
Dragon Ball, they just kind of took the gaming conversation in general.
Yeah.
And then by the
I saw
time
some of the indie folks, like writers, like people who would cover those games. Like that's why I knew about it, because like those people who like smaller outlets, like were catching that Iconoclast wave, and that's why I knew about it.
yeah,
But I can
Mhm.
see like maybe like other places, and like
yeah.
would you
That-
rather Iconoclast instead of Omen Sight? That's
I know,
like some
it's-
a baby's dying. That's the
I
thing,
know,
yeah.
I know. I'm just trying to think it through.
I feel like
I
Quinn,
think-
you've also played Iconoclast and you also like that game.
I-
so
I do.
I want to give it to Iconoclast because Iconoclast is actually on my top
Okay.
10 games
So we
of the
can
year, and Omen Sight is not, even though. But it's like, man, I do like
Sweet.
both those games are fantastic.
So we can do Iconoclast, Moonlighter, Onrush, top 3.
yeah.
Scott, Quinn, any objections? I know we're cutting a lot there, but
I
Yeah,
wasn't ready to get rid of Omen Sight.
I would say the Gardens Between before Onrush.
Okay.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Throw
Awesome.
some spice.
I
I would.
how do you feel about that, George? Like Onrush is your baby.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I wanna
just
say
feel like the
here,
Gardens
though-
Between. I
Go ahead,
just
George.
have seen it on so many folks' end of the year stuff.
Yeah.
That I feel like it's getting its due, and
Mhm.
also I don't think that game was a financial failure like Onrush was, which counts for something in my heart, in my vote.
Mhm.
Because they tried something and it
Yeah.
ultimately failed. And I don't want to hear anybody saying they should make a new Burnout, because that would probably fail because nobody would buy it because you guys are cowards.
it's true.
Jesus.
Onrush is great. Yeah, just Onrush.
Onrush is it
such
seems like
good
good vibes.
video game. God.
Hey George,
But
I agree. with
yeah,
There you go.
I don't
You
know.
agree? All right, there we go.
Happy to
Here we
see
go.
the Gardens Between on all
Yeah.
this.
Well, I guess before we just like cut out a bunch of games, is there any like last words for these other ones?
I
Because
mean,
that's
we-
like.
we-
I
I
mean,
didn't even
talking
say
about-
about Yoku's on
yeah, I was gonna
Express.
say Yoku's Strange is just kind of getting like dumped on real fast, but I just wanted to give somebody their voice if they wanted to talk about it. Or we did
So-
talk about most of these other ones.
Yeah, we
So
talked
for
everything
Yoku-
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we mentioned Yakuza on Express during the music category.
Mhm.
This is a Metroidvania pinball game where he plays the Dung Beetle in this really colorful and really cute world where he's a messenger, like he's the messenger for this little island. And he's also got like there's a giant like I guess not world ending, but for this little island with a bunch of animals and stuff, it's kind of world ending. It needs to solve the problem. It's really cute. It's I think from what I've heard from folks, it kind of gets rough towards the middle, so maybe it could be better. But I agree that we can talk about it now instead of Yakuza on Express. Is a game worth your time?
Yeah.
Probably, especially if you like pinball.
hmm
But at the same time, I've also seen a lot of folks mention it for like Game of the Year stuff. Like, hey, this was a neat thing that happened,
hmm
and it did well from what I understand. Like, it did well for them. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm going to get rid of it now that I've said my piece.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say, and just I guess from like a slightly, and I would also say like if you're a particular fan of like the Easy Allies, they also talked about that game a lot because they really liked it over there.
Yeah, there were specific outlets that were like, yo, this fucking game
Yeah,
though.
for sure. They were like, this is dope.
Okay.
All right, who's the winner?
Ooh, shit.
Iconoclast.
Yeah.
I forgot we got rid of Omen Sight, and it still hurts.
Yeah, I know it does. It hurts.
Uh,
I mean,
I can't ride this Iconoclast wave with y'all, folks. I'm sorry.
I
I'm
mean,
playing it now, and
Let's
it's
make it
not...
on rush, George.
No, but like, so I'll just say how I feel about Iconoclast right now. If someone who's playing it, because it was free for PS Plus with Onrush, actually. It hasn't hooked me yet. Like from what I play, like I can still like the animation is fantastic, the music is great. It seems like it is going to have great characters. The writing is sharp, but even all that said, it hasn't grabbed me. But that's what I'll say about that.
what
Mm.
stage?
Like, I'd go Moonlighter for me, but that's
Okay.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Alex.
Someone's breaking up.
Yeah, Alex is
Mr. O'Neill.
Alex
Boss
is
man.
dying over there.
He's frozen in contemplative.
So Scott, what do you think?
I mean, I haven't played any of those. I'm trying to think of which ones I've heard the least about. I think
I heard the least of Iconoclast out of these three.
for me, I would say
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard least about Moonlighter, like from
Really?
websites.
Okay.
I feel like Iconoclast was talked about a good deal in the first beginning of the year, and when all the other Metroidvanias were coming out, I remember it being brought up and kind of compared and kind of thrown into that pool.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we should have put Time Spinner on here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't.
Well,
I don't,
I'm looking at Google Trends right now, and I'm searching these terms.
I just want
Time's
to.
better.
He's looking
Can I
at,
add?
he's looking at
Alex, yeah.
actual.
Can I
metrics.
add Chasm to the list and then remove Chasm?
Yeah, we just
just add like 6 Metroidvanias that came out this year that weren't
Chasm. You know what? Chasm's
that
alright
weren't
now.
basically Hollow
Death's
Knight.
Gambit.
Death's Gambit. Yeah.
Yeah,
They weren't Hollow Knight or Dead Cells.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
those are the
Guacamelee
ones that
2.
everybody-
yeah, basically all of those. Everything else kind of buried. I mean, the only thing I remember seeing early on about Iconoclast specifically was the Giant Bomb Quick Look, which kind of put it on my radar. And I remember that was fairly early on, but outside of that, I don't even remember. Like, there might be like an IGN review or some other things, but I don't even remember seeing those. But I just remember like when I finally played it in August. By that point, it was definitely getting kind of like dunked on because that was when that big wave of other like Metroidvanias and all that stuff were coming out. So, but it was just, to me, it was just like in that time of like that sea of those came out, and having also played a lot of them because I just like that genre. It stuck out to me as like something in some ways kind of fresh for those games, because like the thing I like about it is that like it focuses more on like that story and characters than more of just like it being like a Metroidvania, which I know like sounds weird because like, you know, obviously like Metroid and I think even to an extent Hollow Knight are very good because like they are those kind of quiet, mysterious, and lead on your own. But I think like, so I thought like going into Iconoclast that was gonna feel weird because it was so focused on like the world and like telling you like unfolding the story, and it is kind of like a linear Metroidvania in some ways, in that it like a lot of the upgrades and abilities that you're ultimately going to be getting are basically dictated through like where you are in the story or like what you're doing. But I think it's just how they I think it still feels very good to just get them in the direction they, because it all makes sense like within that. And again, I think just like the story of it is super cool as somebody who really likes like weird out there sci-fi stories, because it goes in like a weird, extremely weird directions.
Yeah, sure. There were like stuff about the world even just early on, like about labor and people's role. It's interesting.
Yeah, it does a very good job of kind of towing that line of like very thought-provoking like ways of showing this stuff, and then like it layers on like even like crazier stuff that are like, you know, like what is actually going on with this world, and like how it seems very manufactured and all this other things, and how it actually how it actually like the direction it goes is like really cool and like surprising. Not like I would say surprising, but it definitely has that ending of like it kind of takes everything you've kind of learned throughout this game and flips a lot of it on the head. Like everything that like some of the characters that in like are I guess the main like villains in the cast are like the die-hard dedication they have to some of these things is like flipped on its head by a lot of the things that happens in kind of like the later acts, and it's all just done very well and very surprising. And I just think it's like I said, animation's very good. I think it's just very fun to play. There's some really cool like later.
It does feel good.
There's some really cool like later abilities where like there's like zip lines you get, and like first it's just kind of like zip lines that like help you kind of like faster travel throughout the like overcross things, but later the wrench she has, which is one of her main attacks, gets electrified, and so then she can like spin it and charge it, and it turns electrified, and it does more damage. And then when you use it on one of the zip lines, she goes like hyper speed and like can like attack dudes with it and stuff. It's like all of like the upgrades are like simple and like and are just basically like 1-to-1 to like what she has. Like she just has a little gun and that wrench, and you're just kind of going back and forth between like getting like little like grenade launchers and getting like a cool like laser blast that like when you fully charge it like warps you, and you use it to like solve puzzles and fight enemies and stuff. It's all just like really smartly put together, and I think it just kind of rekindled a lot of the love I had for Metroidvanias in a weird way. And I kind of talked about it. I don't know if my Game of the Year piece is up yet, but like it reminds me of a particular game called Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door.
Oh, dude,
That game has a very powerful that's like probably like one of my favorite games of all time, and it's just
me too, dude.
And
me too.
And it's how Iconoclast just kind of handles itself, and it reminds me a lot of that game of like there's like this weird, it knows what it is, but like it also takes like Mario and kind of flips it on its head in a lot of ways, in like a very charming and interesting way, where like I feel like Iconoclast does similar things where like it takes kind of Metroidvania stuff and kind of flips it on its head and does interesting things with it, and just like the tone of the world, even though it's a lot darker, very much more darker than Paper Mario ever is, like it has like a similar feeling to me. I don't know, like I can't quite like nail down what exactly it is, but like it's one of those things where like the more and more I get past Paper Mario, the more and more like fondness and I'm forgetting the word for it, but it's like overall fondness I had for the game. And like Iconoclast I see being like a very similar game in that vein of like I had a really good time with it in August when it came out on Switch, and like I'm sitting here now and I'm just like, man, I'm sitting here talking about it, and I reminded more and more of like how much of a cool game that was.
Man.
So
I feel like we're getting into the conversation of best game of the year instead of like it not figuring out.
Overlooked. I would just say this game came out on the Vita, so that gives it an edge on overlookedness.
All of those feelings come with the fact that like nobody's talking about this game.
Exactly. That's why I wanted like I didn't really get my chance to speak on the game while we were doing this list, so I wanted to just talk about it.
Ultimately, I'm fine with Iconoclast.
Yeah, I think the passion is there.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Onrush is like the thing.
Onrush is great there.
I think Onrush is great, but the thing
all these games are great.
Yes.
Moonlight is great.
Oh, definitely.
These are all fantastic.
Oh yeah, I mean like nobody's shitting on Moonlight. Yeah, you know.
All I'm saying is that like I think that I wouldn't be pushing Onrush further is because it took a long time to get that ranked mode, and it felt like a lot of people weren't sure what they were playing for, like in terms of like progression. Now it's fixed, but
I'm fine with Iconoclast.
Yeah.
Also, like I don't have the passion.
I was gonna say if you're.
Let's do it.
I'm not gonna.
I'll say unless Alex feels strong.
I'm not against any of these ultimately winning. I just wanted.
For sure.
I just wanted to say my piece on.
I like these three.
Absolutely,
those are good three.
Absolutely.
I like these three. I really like this category. I think like the way that this conversation went was a lot better than I thought it could have gone.
Yeah.
Two of like we all kind of brought some babies to this, and we got to talk about them here, and that's good. Like this.
Omen Sight is a strong 4.
Yeah.
Omen Sight is strong number 4.
Strong number 4.
What's cool is like this felt the most like us actually telling you to play a lot of these games, and that's like all these games would probably be overlooked. Man, Moonlighter is really cool.
Moonlighter's cool.
On a plus side for Iconoclast, Destructoid gave it best portable game of 2018. So hopefully
That's
that'll
the
get
game on
some
the
tra-
Vita.
The Vita.
Best game on the Vita.
This
Yeah.
game on the Vita. I'm not
Yeah,
going
right.
to argue about.
That's it.
We made it, guys.
Good stuff.
It's over, right? There's no
Yeah.
more.
Turn it
No
off.
more categories. We're all done.
How
all finished
how
up.
do you guys feel about
Well,
taking
yeah,
a
right?
quick break?
I am
Sure.
definitely in favor.
Yeah, I'm going to grab some water.
Hello, welcome back. We're back. This is it. This is the final category.
Woo!
RationalPassions.com's 10 games of 2018.
We made it.
Just to reiterate, right? 10 games, 1 winner, 9 runners up. No order. Same for me, the 1 winner.
Only one.
Only one will walk out of here alive.
Highlander style.
I have a couple ideas for this. We'll get to it once I read this list.
I have an
Um,
immediate.
Again, I just want to reiterate, nothing's personal here.
We hate your game if we don't pick it. We think it's
true.
trash.
Yeah. If it's
We're right,
not-
you're
this-
wrong.
This list exploded. What the?
There were 10 whole games that are on our list, and yours wasn't on it. Must be trash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got bad
Not
Not
taste.
a good thing to
Yes.
say. At the
No, I'm kidding. So right now the list as it stands, we will narrow this down to 10. Florence, Hitman 2, Celeste, Into the Breach, The Gardens Between, The Messenger, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Marvel's Spider-Man, God of War, Tetris Effect, Donut County, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, specifically Funky Kong, Onrush, Detroit Become Human, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Return of the Obra Dinn, The Quiet Man, Forza Horizon 4, Monster Hunter World, Iconoclast, Red Dead Redemption 2, Old Man's Journey, Rage in Peace, Octopath Traveler, Moonlighter, Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or Fighters, and Grease.
Okay, so I have an immediate top 10 list that I've made that I think is pretty good actually. Just
Okay, well,
so let's
all
start
right.
the list.
no, but
what
I
I'm gonna
think
do-
I think it's legitimately like I think it's actually pretty good.
Can
Like
I
I think it's very reflective of everybody. You do your thing, but yeah. But I'm just saying I have it on the table already. Like
Okay.
All right.
It's in back of our head.
Logan's got a
Do your
Logan
thing.
compromise ready to go, and I appreciate that.
I do. Like I think it. Yeah. You want me to go right now and just say? it?
No. Here are
Okay.
2 things, right? One, we can number out the list so that way we just know how many we have. It's not for any ordering.
Yeah.
Right.
2, the thing I want to propose to you, I don't, I know generally people probably don't necessarily love this for the Irrational Passions one, but I think it is effective and it works. If we were to single out each of our personal favorite games from 2018, do we have any reason why those 5 games would not be on this list?
Right.
Oh.
That's what
So
I was going to
what-
say something similar. Just like basically each 6 of us pick a game that
I
we think should be
What
on.
2 of us
on our
have
list.
this. I mean, Mike and
2 of
Scott
us
have the same game
one,
of the year. Yeah.
which is why I said 5 for reference.
But I mean, I think that I don't know what George's game of the year is. I guess technically, but everybody else's list I think is on the list for sure.
Yeah, what I tried to do is put every game from everyone's top 10 list on this list.
So,
but like, go
So
George.
that's-
can I go? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
George,
yeah.
I don't know what your game of the year is.
I
so-
have no idea what your game of the year is either.
I think I know what your game of the year is, Alex. So I'm trying to bet. Do
My
I need
list
to?
is out there.
Oh, I haven't checked it yet. Yours is the one I haven't checked yet.
Okay.
So
That's a
I'll do it
bummer.
right now, I guess.
Can you read my list? I wrote a thing about the number 1 game that I'm really proud of.
It's really
Okay,
good.
so then I think I know what it is. Then.
Yep.
Did you like it, Quinn?
it's what
Did you like it, Quinn?
I did.
Thanks,
Um,
man.
When I was
So-
writing my
Is it Tetris? This is give it out of the way. It's your
It
game
is Tetris, yes.
Okay, then.
So
So I
George is
know-
trying to pick like a different game so that way he can get one.
Yes,
on this.
exactly. I'm trying to we're
I
like
think crossover is good. If it's 4 games that are for sure locks on the list, I think
who's
that's
making
good.
it on the raft? All right.
I
Who's
think-
coming in?
There's
Here-
only so many
and I
seats.
think that I think that's showing the the 10 games I drew up are God of War, Florence, Messenger, Spider-Man, Tetris Effect, Smash, Obra Dinn, Grease, Octopath, Celeste. I think
No.
there are a few games that Like,
Just
I think-
hard no, George already.
I think there are a few games on there that may or may not make it, but I think that list is probably at least 8 of those
All
games are
great
gonna be on the
games,
list.
but-
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I would say
'cause
right
it's that thing of just and that includes everybody's game that they're gonna have on there. Right? So everybody's
Mhm.
pick for game of the year is gonna be on this list. I mean, George might call an audible and do something different, but I think even with that, his game will still have be on that list somewhere. And so it's a thing I think that's a solid starting point. Just consider these games going forward because they're also just games where it's not to be that deep, but I think Quiet Man can immediately just be taken off. But
I don't know,
it's also a
man.
thing of there are games on this.
It had a
there are
lot of
games-
things to say, but it didn't say anything.
There are games on this list that I think are
Whoa, who just cut Donkey
amazing
Kong?
games,
That was good.
but it's like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
I think only 2 of us have played the game.
Yeah, this is literally the first time it has come up on this in our game of the year.
one of
talk.
us, Alex,
Man's
is
Journey
like
didn't come out this year.
I
has
played
like
I think it's
mixed positive feelings on it, kind of thing. But it's like, I think this top 10 list is like everybody's got babies in this thing. It's I think reflective of the site as a whole. Like I think it's again just to go forward. We have some sort of start in place here.
I enjoy the IP tested, scientifically proven formula now that I understand it.
Now that you're in it, can you
Wait,
write
Alex?
the list at the bottom, Logan?
Absolutely.
Just so we have a visual reference, and then
Yeah.
we can kind of walk through it, and
Go from
then
there.
if that list works, we can go through it. But I'm gonna bump out all the ones that I was talking about. So Celeste is Quentin's game of the year, right?
Yeah, baby.
Respect is mine and George's.
No, I have one more though.
Okay,
I-
we'll come back to that then.
Okay.
Detroit Become Human is Logan's game of the year. No, I'm just
Not
kidding.
my game of the year. Not my game of the year.
God of War.
Also,
is
it should be
Logan's.
noticed that like I do think, I think my list is reflective of making compromises for everybody, right? Where like they're games I think that people in like top 2 or 3 even that aren't on the list necessarily, but everybody's
Yeah.
game of the year and like games that they really care about are on that list, right? Like I didn't put Detroit on this list, even though I think Detroit is in my top 3, but I didn't have it on the list because I think it's just I don't think Quin would
I
literally
don't
on
think
the list.
God
even
of
though
War
I
is
played
on
the
this
game.
list. If I'm gonna be real with y'all.
I mean, it's definitely on the list, but
No, I
Putting
don't
Spider-Man on a
think-
second time.
Is it? Where is it? The first time I
It's
couldn't
right
find-
above.
oh,
It's
there
right
it
above
is.
God of War.
Jesus, I'm blind.
There we
Sorry.
go.
yeah, I already erased Spider-Man once. Is it on there a third
It
time?
was. It was. I wrote it a second time because I didn't see it the first time.
Okay.
But now it is only on there once.
Okay.
George, what would be the one game that you would say is your favorite game of 2018 that should be on Irrational Passion?
Forza Horizon 4.
Really?
Really?
Forza Horizon 4 needs to be on this list.
What is
how
that,
I
Your
your
feel.
game of the year?
That's my. Well, he already picked Tetris. This is 3. It is 3 and maybe 2 on my list.
Okay. That's not. I mean, it's not how it
What's
works.
one on
but-
your list?
It's Tetris. But if I can't have this, that's fine. I can.
But-
I
but
will.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying Forza's 3 or 2 on your list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I see
But
what
like Scott and Mike both have Spider-Man, so that's why I only picked one from
Okay,
them.
then that's fine. I will have the discussion about why Forza Horizon should be on
Yeah,
this
I mean,
list.
Forza
That's
Horizon
what
4 contender. Like I don't,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
So that
the list
that
is at the
makes-
bottom.
Is it? I don't think there's any argument that we're gonna have that is gonna take these 4 games off this list.
you said. No,
Um,
I think those are safe. Oh, actually,
I
don't think God of War
Logan
should be on
feels
this
strongly
list.
enough about
God of War is gonna be. That's such a stupid statement. Like not to be like that guy immediately, but like that's not one of the 10 best games on this list. I think is
I just
silly. And,
feel like I'd be willing to sacrifice it for something that we want to have on this list that someone else feels good. Like, if there's one game that
yeah,
I
but
think
like,
of,
that's I mean,
Okay.
somebody feels good about God of War, right? Like that'd be
I
my
imagine.
It's
sure,
on-
right? That, like,
I mean, it's on my
multiple
top
of our
10.
lists.
yeah, it's
too.
on
Like,
multiple top 10 lists too,
I
right?
think
And it's
even
also
if we
the
are
thing of-
like, I think we're jaded about God of War, and I think we have complex opinions about it. But I think generally, like, we think it is a great video game.
yeah, like I think to not
I
have a
don't-
top
okay.
10 list is not.
I
reflective
don't
of-
think we're gonna argue to have it as the best game, but
I
I
mean,
think
we'll even say about
it's-
that, but like that's why for me it's like it's
I said how I feel. Now I know how everyone else
Yeah.
feels, so that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then, okay.
No.
All right. So
Like,
I'm gonna-
because I like that's to me, it's like I would make the same argument about Celeste, but I know it's Quin's game of the year, and that Alex cares about too, that you care about
Yeah, I
too. So
feel
like,
it's
I'm
good
definitely
Celeste,
on the top 10 for me, where it's like that
Mhm.
was one for me, where it's like it wouldn't be in my top 10, but it's I understand where it's
Okay.
at for other people.
Okay. Cool.
So of this little Logan list here we got at the bottom. This is a very interesting format
Right?
here.
I
like that.
I
it's
tried
sort of
to do something to where
Is there anything that how does everyone feel about this list?
I don't.
I
I don't know
it's-
about Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
that was one I wasn't sure
Uh,
about, so I
yeah,
put it
I
on
was
there.
gonna
Yeah,
say.
it wasn't. Yeah, but I figured Mike, Scott, and Alex would be here. For it.
I feel like
Smash-
Monster
Smash-
Hunter should be on.
Smash is on this list.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
why I assumed that there'd be
I
a
just-
Smash block.
I just
I
feel like
can't-
Monster Hunter should be on this list. I don't know. I think
But like again, this is
Is anybody passionate? Like I know that they are, but like for the
Yeah.
compromise, you're gonna have to make to get other things on the list. That's my
exactly someone's gonna go.
I mean,
I really feel.
Like,
This is-
why do you feel like it needs to be on the list? Is it just because like it has not been talked about other places? Is that like what you're? Is that
Maybe
what
you're
your
right. I guess-
what your thought process is here? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Like this is our list, George. Like we can make hard cuts and we can have things that maybe ultimately not all of us will agree with, but like I want it to be reflective of the 6 of us and maybe a little Jarrett sprinkled on top. Like,
Well, that's Monster Hunter World. That's a Monster Hunter World seasoning, I feel.
yeah, Jarrett would be the Monster Hunter World season, and if it's a thing of like, hey, like I would like to put a W in there for Jarrett. Like, I would have that conversation. But like, if it's just a thing of, I feel like Monster Hunter World was a part of the conversation for this year, blah blah blah. Like, I don't. That is not what we're having. That's not the conversation we're having.
Okay, so what are the games from this list that we could have a conversation for? Because I don't know. I just don't know where to start. I guess.
I mean, Forza
From
Horizon
that-
4.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
From Logan's list, the one that jumps out, I guess, most to me is Return of Obra Dinn, just because besides Mike, I don't think
That's
any of us
true.
have played it.
Right.
yeah, it jumps out to me.
And
as well.
But
that's
I
not
knew-
to, and
yeah,
that's not
that's
to
why I
say
knew Mike
that
had
it's
talked
not
about
a
that.
good
Yeah.
game.
Mhm.
It sounds amazing, but for a site, I don't know if for the site's list to have a game that only one person on the site has played.
if
Right.
Jarrett was here, maybe.
It's interesting too because Oberdin has been such a heavy contender in so many categories, so it seems weird then at the end to be like, and it's not on our top 10 list
Yeah.
at the same time. It's,
Yeah,
it's definitely
that's-
it's a weird dance you have to kind of work out on that one. That's
and
why
it is a difficult thing because I know Jared has now played it, and I don't know his full feelings
Jared
on it.
loves
Yeah.
it.
I think he
He
likes
loves
it a lot, and I like it a lot. But
Yeah.
being the one person here who has played it, I think I've definitely said my piece on the game over these few days.
Oh yeah,
So-
and it sounds
so it's-
fantastic.
Yeah, so it's hard to say.
That's my only apprehension about having it on the list. Not that it doesn't belong.
right.
Not that it doesn't belong there. It's just that's what I'm a little hesitant.
It's also been recognized, but I don't want to cut it yet, of course. But
Oh yeah, I'm not saying cut it. That's just
Sure.
that's the main one that jumps
Yeah.
out at me from Logan's list anyway.
So for like 11 and 12 here, I've written Monster Hunter World and Forza Horizon 4. I think those are certain things we could probably have a conversation about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any other games. Like the only one that I kind of think of is Detroit, but that game is so
Yeah.
like divisive.
And that's
like
that's my thing. Like, I could make an argument for Detroit, but it's also the thing of like, but I also recognize the fact that it's just such a, I feel like needlessly messy. I feel like that fight's just unnecessary, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to make a fight about Detroit.
we
with,
have so
like-
many games like that we all feel pretty good about.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Mhm.
And Detroit, like in so many ways, it's just like a messy thing. It's like, I don't need to do it. I don't want to have that. Yeah, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
oh God, I don't.
My immediate addition to the 11 and 12 is
Mhm.
Into the Breach.
Okay.
Okay.
That's another one where you're kind of alone. Like I
Yeah.
played and I really like Into the Breach.
But I know I'm alone on that hill.
Oh, this is gonna be hard. Oh Jesus.
It's a good fucking game.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I like this list. I would say like I would personally sub in Monster Hunter World for Oberdin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like Monster Hunter World, it's a Monster Hunter game that I liked, so already it is tough.
Right.
I would honestly probably also, I mean, like I would take some personal hits. Like Greece is so complicated because I got to it so late, so that's
yeah.
why.
I mean, I got
Mhm.
into it even later than you did.
Yeah, I'm
Like-
probably even more willing to cut it, but because like I just don't know where I feel about that game because I
Yeah.
haven't sat on
I'm
it.
only halfway through it. That's a video game.
Are you digging it?
Yeah, I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's really pretty. Oh, man. But yeah, like that's the big one. Like I think I do feel like Monster Hunter World should be on this list.
Yeah.
I mean, then I just turned to Mike. Like, how do you?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, yeah. I'm
Are you fine with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that, but I mean, in some ways,
It's
the way I feel about, I mean, I'm fine with ultimately taking out Oberdin, but I'm also looking at Octopath Traveler. Like I'm feeling a little bit weird about that one on the list too. Even as someone who has played that
Mhm.
through, like I feel like that's like if we're looking at it from like a single person played it, or not single, or like two people from the
Yeah.
site played it, because you include Jared, I would say Octopath is in a similar place with me and Scott having played it, and
Mhm.
us liking it a lot, but yeah, it just being like maybe it's not. Maybe there are other things here potentially that might be more representative of like everyone that liked it in these games.
I'm gonna say this once, and never again. Should Red Dead Redemption 2 be on this list?
So here's my thing where I definitely thought about Red Dead, but Red Dead to me is one where it's like I'm the person who's played that game the longest, I would say, and like most in depth and all that other stuff, and it's like even my thoughts are like I don't know, I
think like
Red Dead to me is the example of a game that is on the list because we think it has to be on the list, and not a game that we think should be on the list, right? And like I think Red Dead.
I don't.
And like Scott likes it more than I do.
I don't like it.
Have said in Slack.
I think you like it more than I do, though. But like, I mean,
I played 6 hours of it and uninstalled
probably
it the
not.
week it came out.
Probably not. But like, yeah. So that's my point of like, I think I'm potentially the most positive on the game. And if I'm the most positive on Red Dead, Red Dead's not on the list.
Okay.
So
I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot too. Like I played it through to completion.
it's on your top 10.
Yeah, it's in my
It's
top.
on mine too, but that's the thing. Like,
Yeah, but yeah,
I'm top 10.
Yeah, exactly. Like I liked it a lot too, but I ultimately think there's like enough indifference of it here. Of like, I think there's more. Are there's even like maybe even hostility. Yeah, I think there's more people that just don't like it for whatever reasons compared to like the few people that are like, it's all right. Where I feel like it's not like we don't have like a burning passion for it. We're just like it's fine. It's good. It was good for what it was. But I think there's not like a burning passion.
And I'll say I was the number one hater of Red Dead for like since it was announced. And I've heard I think like since Game of the Year season has started with different outlets, I've heard there have been things in that game that like from like the stories that people said, like the stuff that happens in that story and the music that sounds really enticing. But then playing it sounds absolutely dreadful, and that's just for me. And because we haven't talked about Red Dead at all on this list, so I feel like there's probably a small conversation to be had about that game.
I mean, and I'm somewhat similar. I mean, I would say I was also someone that was incredibly skeptical of this game as somebody who liked that first one a lot, and like I like that just being its own story. And like when as soon as they announced like this is a prequel to this thing, and I was just like, man, I don't. This does not need to exist, and this is clearly just like we kind of wanted, and like that was kind of a bummer to me. And then like the first like big reveal of this game, gameplay wise, was like you're gonna be managing this camp and doing this, and I was just like, man, fuck that. I was like 100% like out when they started putting it in, but then I played it and it was just like, you know what, this stuff like that camp stuff was actually like really cool, and like a lot of the dumb management stuff of like like a lot of the
No. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the managey like things they put it in well enough to like to quote more of like not to the extent, but you know, as George was alluding to, like hearing Brad Shoemaker's talks on Giant Bomb, like and how he describes that game, and like I did not have that level of like vitriol and like love and dedication.
He's on some near levels for
me. He like passionately talks about that game in a way that like made me like thinking back on it and be like, wow, like he is right, like this game does do a lot of like incredible stuff, but I did not have that same level like while I was playing it of like, but like he really got into like you're like as Arthur Morgan, you are like literally playing it as like actually living a character's life and not just like playing it as like a game, so to speak. So like he was saying he was like pulling out moments where like he would be out of a mission and like, you know, end up like walking into a saloon and like doing stuff and just like living like he somehow like found himself just like playing as like role playing as Arthur Morgan more than just like playing a game. Or like I didn't necessarily do that, so like when you kind of just try to play it as a game, it butts back at you for doing that, and like I don't think that's like a good thing that it does, because I had a lot of issues with that too. Of like I personally didn't like, a lot of people complain for it to being like slow, but I personally did not find it slow at all. Like I found that kind of be a weird comparison, considering it felt like all the other Rockstar games to me. But I did like find a lot of like weird like they would make leaps and bounds for certain things because it was a video game, but then they did like other dumb stuff where like the horse was so integral to the gameplay of like it carries your weapons, it carries all of this stuff on it for you to use, but they make it like they can make it potentially, they put you in situations in that game where it makes you a pain in the ass to just get back to your horse. And it's like, why can't I literally just sit here and do a whistle and it just fucking appears? Like that's like that would not break my immersion. Like what breaks my immersion is they make me do this long mission, or a long ass mission, but like it could be a really good mission and like be a really interesting, thoughtful thing, but then I'm just dropped out and like I look at my map and my horse is like hundreds of miles away, and then I go and I'm just like what the fuck, and then like then I have to make that decision of like, oh, let me look at the map. Is it
playing this video?
Well, yeah, or like let me open this map. Is it faster to me to go back to my horse or just walk back to my fucking camp? Because if I walk back to my camp and start the next mission, my horse will just spawn there. And it's just like, why couldn't they just made it be like, oh, let me whistle and my horse just fucking comes
anywhere on the map, right? Because in Red Dead 1, you can whistle basically anywhere and it'll just come to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And my favorite thing about Red Dead 2, to Mike's point, is that like people's just like frustrations with that system. And, like, that being manifested no better place than in Trevor Starkey, the human being, who, like, legitimately beat Red Dead out of pure spite and anger.
Yeah, this sounds like the most not Trevor Starkey video.
Like, Trevor hated everything about that and beat the game. Just like prove that he could beat the game. Like, I fucking hate it. I'm just gonna beat it out of spite.
That checks out.
Such a great, like, there's no more Trevor Starkey thing that I've ever seen in my entire fucking life than that, of him just being like, I don't like it. I have to beat it now.
That checks out. And like Rami Ismail tweeted that it feels like the most expensive indie game,
art house video game ever. And like, it like, to Mike's point, like, talked a little bit about Red Dead on these discussions, and like, it always goes back to that. Like, it is a very like indie art house game, almost just with like a bazillion dollars behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Like
if Red Dead 2 is published by Activision, it would have a lower difficulty setting that turns off all of the Sim stuff in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it might be a better,
and it might be a better game for it.
Yeah, that's like the insane thing about it.
That's the
like,
thing. Yeah,
it's like they're going like for like the scale of this like a game and it being like a fucking Rockstar game, and then like do a lot of this like the insane shit they do in the game that people just are like, why the fuck did they do that? Like for them to do that, I'm just like. Man, they know they have that fucking gusto and balls to like know they can get away with that shit.
We have talked a lot of like having to eat food and stuff is like even that is like it's not that annoying because you can just not do it that much, but like it'll eventually take a toll where like it will lower your health.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of annoying because like and also like you have to eat a lot apparently because I usually eat like once a day and like by the end of the game I was like severely underweight and I was like, oh, shit,
it does a bad job of it of like because like early in the game it's like not that bad, but then spoilers for Red Dead story, Arthur's like over the course of the game slowly like gets sick, and so like as he's getting sicker in the game those things become more difficult to manage. And like it plays in with like the story and how they like portray him, and like they like do like it's that weird thing of like that's like they tweak those things which they didn't really need to, but because they do it in other ways.
Make it clear to you that that's happening.
Yeah, they don't make it immediate clear to you, but they do like pull off those things where like they convey that like, man, he's sick as shit and he's literally in the process of like he's slowly breaking down and like dying. Like they do that in like so many other better ways of like literally the way they like actually like reveal to it like of like this is actually coming is like crazy because it's like I think it can only happen after a certain point in the game, but it'll literally just be like you can be doing anything. I think it's just if you're roaming around the open world. Like I don't think it actually happens during a mission, but you'll just be like going along and all of a sudden he'll start like coughing really hardly. And literally just like fall off his fucking horse and black out. And you're just like, what the fuck just happened? And then it'll just go into like the actual in-game mission of like him like having to like go into like the big town in the game Saint Denis and go to the doctors and like be like the doctor being like, man, you're fucking dying. You contracting this thing, and like it doesn't happen like immediate though. Like it's not like all of a sudden it's just like boom that happens. Like there are like through lines to like there's a particular mission he did where he went and saw this sick dude, and like it's implied that he captured it. He kind of got it from this guy. He goes back a little later to see that guy, and that guy's like gone, and like the wife and the person he was with are like leaving, and like over the course of the game, like as you get closer Quin, you hear him kind of getting like a little like and like kind of like coughing like in like various points in the game, and like there'd be other times like I think there was one time right before that too where he like you're like about to like do a main mission, and it does the usual thing of like you start the mission by getting to the point, you get off your horses, and like everyone just kind of gets off like normal. But when you do it, like he gets off and just kind of stops for a second, and, like puts his hand on the horse and kind of like looks down, and then they go like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And he's like, I'm okay," and like just keeps walking. Like they do like a very good like subtle job of like building up to the point, and then they just like have that sequence that can just happen at any point in the game, and it's just like holy shit.
And like to Mike's point, like that moment is so cool too, because like for me it happened as I was going to like a mission. It's like as I was like walking to a mission in Saint Denis, it just happened.
Yeah.
And like the way that it like, it's so cool, and like how it ties back to like that early mission from the very beginning, which is in like the very first like section.
Yeah,
like,
it's one of
first
like, the
section
very first few missions you do.
And the fact that again, like when we like talked about in the last day's podcast about like like if we had like a best side mission category, it's a mission that like you have to do, but like from that point on, all those kind of missions of like collecting debts are become side missions.
Yeah.
And like the side missions you can do with that dude and his like that dude's wife and son, which I don't know if you did any of them, Mike, or like how many of them you did.
I did a few.
Like
of them.
I finished it all the way through, and like that arc between those characters and like you like beating this man basically almost to death, and like how that kind of the repercussion of that on his wife and child, and then more to the point like the scene that me and Mike talked about yesterday, whatever it was.
It's like wife like just becomes a prostitute, right?
Yes, and his son has to go work in like mines and stuff, and like kind of that story, and like
like just give him money.
Me and Mike talked about of him meeting that one nun, right? And like when he like confesses to him that like he's dying, he says like I got this because I beat a man to death, basically. Like I got this from him when I beat him with my bloody hands. I'm gonna got into my lungs, and like him confessing how he became sick, how he's dying to her, and like her response and like what she told him from there, and like how that moment was so beautiful and so powerful. Like Red Dead has really great moments, but again, it's like so often tied up in like not the moment, like not main story beat moments. Like again, like if we had a best side mission category, there's no way Red Dead wouldn't win.
Right?
Like it would just would. Like those side missions are so cool, like constantly. But it's like for a top 10 list, there's so many other issues.
It doesn't make a top 10. It sounds like.
No.
Yeah.
It's worth talking.
Okay.
It's worth talking about though, but it's
absolutely.
I
That's
mean,
the Red Dead hour.
It's a complicated. It's such a complicated.
One thing
I talk about. I'm sorry, you go, Scott.
No, what I wanted to mention earlier, I think it's funny how when the gameplay trailer for Red Dead first aired, I remember being the one that was like still super hyped by it, and Mike like. Fuck, I don't want to tend to camp.
Yeah,
but then our experiences with the games has totally switched.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I kind of want to talk about Assassin's Creed Odyssey in the same regard. Like we haven't talked about it all.
That's one game I've not talked about.
It's a game I've put 60 hours in that game. Like I have a lot of feelings about it. Like and it's important, right? Like it's one of the games of the year. Like I think a lot of people, this is going to be their game of the year.
The ending to that game sounds fucking wild, by the way. From what I've heard,
I've not gotten to the ending of that game.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that's.
There's some weird shit in that game. I can say that much. But like, I don't know. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is just complicated, right? It is a follow-up to Origins, a game I generally like, but I think kind of overstayed its welcome, and that game took me about like 35 hours to finish, and I've already put twice that time into Odyssey.
That sounds...
and while I don't know if I feel the same, like it's overstayed its welcome, it is it is better at like elongating itself in a way that Origins was not. I think I have more problems with it, right? It is way more the numbers RPG than Origins was. Like there's I've said it like a dozen times on IP, and I'll say it again here. Like Origins, you get a bow, you get your daggers, you stealth around areas. You can aim your bow at somebody's head and shoot them and kill them, right? In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you cannot do that. Like it is all such a numbers crunching thing. Like you can't, your bow is not like that effective stealth weapon. And because they wanted to make it feel more like a video game, more like an RPG, doing everything in that game way less fun. And like ultimately, I think they find some depth there, and there's like supers and abilities, and like you can do like power attacks and rip off shields and all these things with cooldowns. But it just gets in the way, right? Like I'm fighting any like in a base, right, which is predominantly what that game is. You sneaking into bases and stealthing around. Like if I assassinate any character that is like one tier above the base enemy, I won't be able to one-shot them. If I do like the assassination move, which does the most damage of anything in that game, it's like 15,000 damage scaled or whatever, because they give you numbers. It won't one-shot most of the enemies in that game in any given base. The captains, it'll barely do anything with. And then that turns into the whole encampment trying to fight you. And it is like the combat of that game is you, because there's no shields like there was in Odyssey or Origins. It is you hitting enemies like 30 times to kill them. And it's just like, it feels like you were just watching numbers crunch when it is supposed to be combat.
God, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
I saw the game, I was like, it is fucking, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I miss Assassin's Creed when you could just assassinate people.
I just don't like the fucking numbers. What
I mean,
are you doing?
Like I understand like where they're trying to move things. Like even Breath of the Wild is like just a numbers game, but like they hide all that shit, so you never see it, right? Like,
Right.
and that helps that game a whole lot. And I understand like they wanted to make it more of like an RPG, like they're with like him going and doing dialogue options. Like it feels like more along the lines of like a Dragon Age 2, and that comes with everything that's good as well as everything that's bad. And there's a lot that's bad.
Yes, there is.
Of like every combat scenario feels exactly the same. Every enemy feels like I have to hit it 20 plus times to kill it if I'm just doing normal combat. Assassination is basically been gutted in that game, and you can't assassinate most enemies in that game. The bow, which is the best thing that they did in Origins, is garbage in this. A lot of the powers are uninteresting, and most of that game is playing it, right? It's the combat, it's the fighting, it's the sneaking around, it's the stealth, it's the finding loot, it's upgrading your loot. Like that is the vast majority of the 60 hours I put into that game, and a lot of it is just undeniably miserable. And it sucks that the set dressing of that game, like I think Greece is awesome.
It looks really good.
The way, because it's not like really a one-to-one map of Greece. They took interpretations of mythology and put them as aspects of the world, like these statues that represent these moments in Greek history. Like there's this giant statue. I don't remember his name, but it's the guy that has like the vulture that eats his stomach every day. It's like this giant, huge statue takes over these 4 hills, and this giant vulture statue like reaching into this statue of a man that's enormous, and his stomach is torn open. It's like, this is like how we represent this myth in our world, and it's so beautiful. It looks incredible. Cassandra is my favorite character from this year. Is one of the most compelling characters I've ever played as.
She seems cool.
She's awesome, and she is the only interesting character in that game. And it sucks. Like she's surrounded by people that don't matter and sound weird and are completely uninteresting.
But Alex, Socrates.
Yeah, like Socrates, but which is how they say it in that game.
Oh God.
Yeah, because
Socrates.
Socrates. But like I've met maybe 2 or 3 characters in that game that are cool or interesting or like compelling at all, and they've barely been in that game. Like, it's for me, it is such a bummer because like Origins is like, okay, they're gonna make Assassin's Creed games like this from now on. This is awesome. I love this. And then they just like buried everything that made Origins good, with all these systems that just make things more complicated than they need to be, and they extended it out and made it way too long. And they threw in all the ship stuff, which like take it or leave it. Like I think it's just super boring in this game. Like I'm so conflicted about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Like I wrote in my top 10 list, I feel like I have as many good things to say about it as I do negative things to say about it. And I just don't even know how I feel about that game. That game is not worth putting 60 to 80 hours in just for Cassandra, but it should be because she's that good. That is
That's
like,
a bummer because I really wanted
it.
I was so impressed by the E3 presentation, especially from Cassandra.
It's awesome.
And it certainly looks gorgeous too. But
I do not like everyone who loves that game and feels super compelled by it is totally valid. Like I think Cassandra, like just as her from her gender and like her kind of sexuality and the fluidity of it in that world and how that just fits with Grease so well is awesome and an incredible thing to connect to. And I'm so glad it is in a huge game from this year. Certainly not a thing that we necessarily would talk about here, but like I think it's important and it matters. In my heart, it kind of gets the Dragon Age Inquisition kind of honorary GOTY award for that. Of like
Dragon Age references.
Kind of like not a very, I was going to say shitty, but not a very good game in my opinion, but does some like really cool social and cultural things. But it is not enough for it.
Honestly, if I was to make one more Dragon Age reference, from what I've heard of the ending, there is some Dragon Age Inquisition fucking
I don't know, man.
nonsense happening there.
There's mythical creatures in it, which is cool. I'm glad they finally just did that. There's kind of like a dumb excuse for them to do it that's related back to more Assassin's Creed bullshit. I don't know how it ends. I don't necessarily want to have it spoiled for me.
I'm sure it's fine.
I am invested.
Alex, I think I want your reaction.
Yeah, me too. It is fucking thing.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't think so.
Okay,
it's fucking wild though.
But like,
What
I
needs
want
to
you
be
guys to
said?
understand like where I'm coming from with this game. Like, I'm
glad you gave Cassandra her shout out because I feel like her
Cassandra's
character
awesome.
really is getting buried on this game, like either being not what people were looking for coming out of Origins. Like I honestly thought people would be celebrating her a lot more just from that pitch, and like there had been a few like write-ups and stuff, but honestly I haven't seen that much about it.
Everything specifically she says to your stupid bullshit RPG characters that are just littered throughout that game is awesome. Like she just fucking shits all over everyone in that game. It's awesome. And she's like fuck God, I don't believe in God. Gods are dumb. Fuck you, fuck all this. I'm gonna do what I want when I want. I'm the strongest person in the world, and fuck everyone here. And it's like fuck yes.
Girl power.
Like yeah, it's just good vibe. Not like, but she has like a soft side. Like there's a scene where she sees someone that she hasn't seen in forever, and all of the story of that scene is told in her facial expression, and it's fucking incredible. It's like, man, like her performance does carry that game a lot for me, but it can't carry that game enough.
Not on the list. So where are we at with this top 10?
Do I just need to make my Forza Horizon 4 speech now?
Yes. Make your Forza Horizon 4 speech.
Oh God, I knew we were doing this. For some reason, I didn't prepare myself. I don't know. So I feel like somehow since the beginning of this year, specifically since PAX, I've been searching. I realized that I can love a driving game because I was reading up on a lot. For some reason, I became fascinated with Ridge Racer and like where the driving genre has like went and gone. And I was always thinking about like really there's only Forza anymore. Like early in these conversations we mentioned like Gran Turismo. Like Gran Turismo is not even a thing anymore really. And I think maybe that's why, because last year like towards the end Gran Turismo came out and I played it and I was like, this is nothing. And I'll also say that I'm not a driving person. I don't like driving games often, but I know that I can. And ever since we played Trailblazers at PAX, and I was like, oh man, I like driving games. Oh fuck, right. I like driving games. This is great. And then I got it, and I was so disappointed. It's just so disappointed because they were trying so many cool new things, but the execution just wasn't there. And then Onrush came out, and Onrush was like, oh yes, this is that sort of burnout flavor I was looking for. And I think I mentioned I showed my hand in Slack about how I felt about Forza. But then Jared was like, how quickly forget about Onrush, because I was so high on that game. And I think it's because a lot of the feelings that I was hoping I could like find in a game, I sort of attached to Onrush. And I still really like Onrush, but that is a different type of driving game, right? Like that's like arcadey, it's very specific. Like it's not about like, there's not really anything about the place or the tracks. It's just about like the moment, just like fucking arcade smashing people. I want to get my score up, whatever. And that's great. And I like Onrush a lot. It's going to be on my top 10 because of that. But I was looking for an experience, like something like that, like the joy of driving, the joy of being a person in a vehicle that is going over 100 miles per hour. And I can't stress enough, I don't care about cars. But in a video game, I can like, for some reason that really excites me and that really speaks to me. Like I'm surrounded in a place that is beautiful, where I can just go and I can feel like, man, I'm a human being, and if this thing crashes, I'm gonna die horribly. But right now, in the moment, I am like transcendent. Yeah. And these are all feelings that I made up in myself, and I don't think I ever thought that a racing game could live up to like what I felt when I played Burnout 3 when I was a little kid, or what I felt like when I played Ridge Racer when I was a little kid. I was like, oh man, this is so cool. I'm driving a car, or like Need for Speed. Like, I can't stress enough that I don't love driving games, but I have moments where that driving game guy and that person who likes the concept of cars, of a vehicle that goes very fast, like comes out. And Forza Horizon 4 was exactly what I was looking for, and I can't believe that I can love a driving game like this. That game and what it does with its countryside of England, it is so gorgeous. It feels like a place there, like no rules. It feels like here's your car, just drive around, like drive up into those fucking walls filled with rocks, and you just like sprint out the way. And then like the seasons, it feels like a fucking place because those seasons change like how you play the game a lot, and it looks so impressive. And just the vibes of it, like there's a race, there's like a bunch, like there's always been stunt races in Forza Horizon, and I understand that part of it's like, hey, this is the first Forza Horizon game I've played, and I think that may be one of the biggest like counter arguments against me why this should be on this list. I'm not completely not familiar. Like I understand that Forza Horizon 2 was sort of the first game where they really were able to like, oh, here's what we want this series to be. Because Horizon was sort of like the Gears of War judgment of the Forza series, because the 360 is still around. We got to make a Forza game, but they're making the Xbox One game.
Forza Horizon is a good game.
I forgot where my point was, but
You
I
like
don't
this
know,
game,
man. Like I don't care about driving or cars this way. I really don't. But
Can I propose something for you, George? Here,
sure.
what if we took off the Messenger and we put on Forza Horizon 4?
I want to have the conversation with you. Do you feel
Like, here's my thing. Like, I am king compromise over here. Like, I always want to have the most diverse list, right? Like, that's why I want God of War on this list, right? Like, we all
Also,
feel weird
okay,
about it, but Logan feels good about it.
No,
Like-
no, I feel
Mike
good
did
about it
well.
too.
A lot of us feel good
Yeah.
about it, right? But like,
It's fine.
it's okay?
And I think it's on Mike's list too, maybe too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's on Mike and Scott's list. It's an honorable mention on mine. Like, but you know, like the Messenger, like I feel is the only one that I really would put up high there. Like I know a lot of you like it, and I love.
I
that.
really like the Messenger. a lot,
I do too. Like I adore that game. If
Yeah.
like, I think if
It's
I had
very
gone to
high
that
on my
game
list.
completely blind, that would be probably my game of the year. But like, I also think it's okay if we let that game go in favor of something that you feel really strongly about.
Well,
George.
so
Let's see,
I feel like
high
we're
on
in
your
a
list, Logan. Like that does change things. Like if we're looking at like kind of a numerical level, but you know, I was just saying like I will take a W on something, or like I'm willing to cut something that is kind of more specific to me and my favorite games of the year to put Forza on there because I really like how you feel about it.
Well, Mike, how do you feel like you need like Return of the Obra Dinn should be on this list?
I thought we already made that.
I mean,
switch.
I guess I'm in the similar camp of Alex here, in that I'm okay cutting Return of the Obra Dinn for like a list that kind of celebrates all of us, and that's why they wanted to put Monster Hunter in place of that. Because like I also like Monster Hunter a lot, because it was also that game of like I had never played a Monster Hunter game before. I had no real idea
Bunch
of
of
the series.
PSP perverts out there.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just I played it and I was like, man, I really like this a lot. And of course, like I say it a little bit in my game of the year thing. Like in a weird way, it has a special place in me because it's my first review for the site. It's kind of the first real edited video piece I kind of ever put out for people to just look at, like, period, in some ways. So like in a weird way, it has like a special place to it. So also like a lot of us other people at the site, like I know Scott, I think Scott played it a lot. Jarrett played it a lot. Every
Monster Hunter's on my game of the year list.
Yeah, it's on. Like it's
Quin liked it a lot.
Yeah,
I did. It's not on my list, but I like it a
I like
lot.
the concept of Monster Hunter a lot.
So yeah, so like ultimately, like if Oprah Dinn has to take the L to put Monster Hunter on, I'm fine with that. But I mean, I guess then that becomes: would people rather want Forza there in that stead or not? Not. I guess then it becomes Monster Hunter versus Forza. Maybe I don't know if that's what you were going at.
Okay,
George.
yeah, I guess I just wanted to like, what about does Greece need to be on this list?
I feel really good about Greece being on this list.
Okay.
I do
say
too.
that.
I like it too.
I think it's
I guess
a
I
really cool game.
I'm just
Yeah.
looking for ways we don't have to cut the messenger. Like I don't feel strongly about it, and I think that's why I feel guilt about it because it just feels like
it's a
Ninja
compromise,
Gaiden.
right? Like
Yeah.
I have Tetris Effect. I've got Smash Brothers on this list. Like there are a lot of games on here that I fucking love,
Mhm.
and I'm really stoked about
Okay.
it. But like I don't necessarily, and like that's the thing. Like I didn't realize it was so high up on your list, Logan. So like if it's a thing that you feel really strongly about being on this list, I think that's totally fair. I was just
What game?
The
The Messenger?
Messenger.
Messenger, yeah, Messenger is very high on my list.
So yeah, like if you Logan, if you think it should be on this list over Forza, like I think
See, Forza is such a weird one for me where it's like I love racing games. Like I love that genre. And in particular, like a lot of my like middle school, high school friendships are like based on playing racing games over and over and over again. And so like I've known it Forza for years, right? And so for me, your Forza Horizon like 4 moment happened like 10 years ago with like whatever like Forza game that was. And so it's like I look at this Forza game and be like, yeah, this Forza game's dope looking, but it's also like it's not my Forza game, right? Like I've had so like I can't I'm in a weird position for this where it's like like Mike always talks about for Tetris Effect where it's like he had his Tetris Effect 10 years ago. I had my Forza game like 10 years ago kind of thing where it's like I don't know, it's a weird one, right? But like Jurge is also very passionate about this game. But it's also like this is why top 10 lists are hard. Like I don't know. Like I
if
love
it's
the
a compromise
Messenger.
you would rather not make. I think that's okay. Like if you just be.
But I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like, because that's other than Tetris, Jurge, and you look at that top 10, do you feel super represented? Like, do you personally feel represented?
Okay, okay. Thank you for that, Logan. So I don't care about God of War. I don't care about the Messenger that much. I don't care about Smash Brothers that much. I don't care about Return of the Obra Dinn that much. I don't care about I like conceptually. I like a lot of these games conceptually, but not in practice. Like Return of the Obra Dinn. Grease, I like that conceptually. Octopath, I'm not gonna play that. That art style is just not gonna do me. Again, I'm just speaking for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for you. Yeah.
And Celeste, like it actually didn't even crack my top 10 because I like those characters a lot and the music a lot and the art a lot. But at the same time, like I felt a little bit empty playing the assist mode, but I'm glad it was there because I was able to see it through. But I have no interest in playing it for real. So
this is my point. Like, look at this now. It sounds like you have Tetris and you have Florence, basically.
Yeah, and I think Florence should be here. But
yeah, and so then it's like,
yeah,
based off that, Alex has lots of games on this list that I know he loves. So does Mike. So does Scott. I have at least a few games that I'm really passionate about. And so like, I don't want to have a top 10 list where you feel like you only have 1 or 2 games either. So like, if that's to Alex's point, if it's a compromise of like a list that includes the message that me and Alex really fucking love, or a list that feels more inclusive for you, I'd rather have a list that feels more inclusive for you at the end of the day. It's like, I'm fine getting rid of the messenger in that case. List that feels more true to what you think this year is representative of.
I would appreciate your sacrifice, and that's all I can say.
Then I'm totally. I mean, if Alex are you in the same boat,
cut it. So
if Alex in the same boat, I'm totally fine with cutting it for a list that's better for you.
Do we want to do the same with Obra Dinn in regards to Monster Hunter?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is a list.
And after that, I think we just gotta choose a winner.
Yeah. So let's kind of take it from the top again here.
I just want to take a moment. I want to thank you guys for letting Octopath be on the list.
Scott didn't say a fucking word the entire discussion, just waiting, being like, you're not gonna
absolutely silent. Waiting to fucking defend it to his grave.
Nobody mentions it. He's like,
what if we just move it a little bit lower to the list, though, like below Celeste?
But like below Celeste. No, Scott, that's your baby. I get it. All right, right now, the Irrational Passions 10 games of the year, in no particular order, are God of War, Florence, Forza Horizon 4, Marvel Spider-Man, Tetris Effect, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Monster Hunter World, Grease, Octopath Traveler, and Celeste. This is a dope list.
We can all... So here's what 2018 feels like to me. I feel like it's been a year with a lot of interesting experiences, but not like a couple things that like everyone can get behind. And I feel like out of this, I think it's Spider-Man.
So this
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm.
weirdly enough, I mean, the minute that I saw that Mike had it as his game of the year,
Yeah,
and I
me
had his
too.
piece, and then like a day or two later, I saw Scott his, like, oh, it's gonna be Spider-Man. We're not gonna be able to avoid it. It's gonna be Spider-Man.
Yeah,
That's the other
and-
thing we're gonna all be able to
I mean,
agree around.
I think there's still a discussion we can have though, because
Mhm.
like
I think that
'cause
we're gonna
'cause-
have a discussion, but like, I
'cause
think it's ultimately gonna be.
Because I mean,
Spider-Man, probably.
I mean, even as somebody who puts, I will say it as one of the people you just said that put Spider-Man as game of the year. I wouldn't necessarily. That means we have to automatically put it as the game of the year
Yeah.
for our website. Because I would also.
No, sure, yeah, absolutely, but like,
And I-
it's
and I
definitely a
would
recognition of like,
Yeah.
to George's point, right? Like, we can have an actual discussion debate where we like knock down, drag out, fight over some of these games, right? Like, I can make my God of War pitch, but it's like I'd rather not. If we can just be like,
Right,
it's gonna be
right, right.
Spider-Man, right? Like,
Logan.
I've played the least amount of
Lawrence.
Spider-Man of probably, like, again,
You're not
like,
gonna get
don't
Lawrence.
get me wrong.
It's not
you're
the
not
right
gonna-
to go.
Yeah, you're
I
not
fucking-
going
I haven't
no,
died on.
No, and I
haven't-
totally see what you're
Like,
saying.
I
Like,
haven't-
I
like, I haven't died on any hill here. Like, I can die in the Florence if
I
you
get,
want to.
I
but
get,
it's also,
I
like,
get what you mean, but I think there are other games
Does anybody
that,
does
that
anybody
are
hate, like,
are worth.
Spider-Man?
I think worth talking about than just Spider-Man.
Sure, and like, I definitely think we're going to, but I do think that like we're looking at like the end of a barrier here where it's like it's probably Spider-Man.
Let's go.
realistically.
Like, how about this? Let's go around, and I want everyone to list the game or games that they feel could be the game of the year. And I'm not saying like your pick. I'm saying like from your
game-
perspective, thinking of all of us, what could be the game of the year?
Could get a consensus, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it's Spider-Man or Smash Brothers, right? Like those are the
Yep.
two that I feel we could get to. Smash Brothers is a little bit more divisive, which is why I kind of ultimately fell on Spider-Man because I think it's a game that I like, that everyone here likes, I believe.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's
I don't dislike it.
Yeah, it's those two for me. Maybe Monster Hunter World, but like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's,
I wouldn't mind.
Quin.
Tetra
Again, the site.
Yeah, the site.
Right.
or Monster Hunter.
Tetris or Monster Hunter. Okay. George.
Spider-Man or Florence?
Okay. Scott.
I would say Monster Hunter or Spider-Man.
Mike.
I would say Smash or Monster Hunter.
Okay.
Oh,
Logan.
I think it's Spider-Man or Florence.
Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where to go from there.
Doesn't that
Yeah.
make all of every one of them do?
No, not necessarily.
Spider-Man get more than two, I think.
It,
Three.
it's not like a vote or anything.
Yeah,
No, I know. I just thought it was funny. That's
It's a
all.
battle of wills.
Yeah. Okay. Like I think if we look at these 5 games, which is Florence, Marvel, Spider-Man, Tetris Effect, Super Smash Brothers, Ultimate Monster Hunter World, I think that makes it a little bit easier. I think that's a fair 5 to choose a winner from.
In my heart, it's Tetris, but I'm not gonna have that fight. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
me
interested.
either.
I'm
It's
not-
like whatever. Like it's on the list. It's represented. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't like. I like Spider-Man, man. Like Spider-Man is the thing. Like I don't think
Yeah,
anyone's
it's good.
have a thing about Spider-Man that we actively dislike.
That's the thing. Like that's why I said Spider-Man from the beginning was like I like Spider-Man the least. I think like I'm the one who I think bounces the quickest from it. But
Yeah.
it's like Alice recognized the fact that again, it's 2 of the 6 of us game of the year, and everybody else really likes Spider-Man, and it's me being like, yeah, Spider-Man. I have no problem with that. Again, like if
But
me
that-
and George
but
are
I-
here to do Florence, we can do Florence. But it's like,
But I mean,
No,
well,
no
there's-
rope a dopes.
Well, I would say there's
mean-
also like 2 other games that were talked on here that are also just being in like Smash and Monster Hunter. Like, what are the, I guess,
I could feel
issues you
all
have?
right about Monster Hunter.
Issues
the
with
one for me
those.
is like Smash. I would not feel alright. Like
can't
that's
go
one for me, which
Smash.
like I'm not super.
I
comfortable
don't
with.
dislike it.
But yeah,
I
like
like
yeah,
it,
like
but
is it?
I-
Like,
I'll-
all right,
I'll
I'm
never
just
be
gonna
great
throw it out
with
here,
that.
and you can be okay. Not is it because OK Beast made it their game of the year? Or like, is that the
Oh, I
reason?
didn't even know that.
Did they really
I
make
did.
it their game of the year?
didn't know
That
that.
sucks. I didn't even know that.
That's a
But like, why? But why?
Yeah.
Like, let me just. I'm just asking. Like, I'm not trying to make like a fight for it here either.
Okay.
But I'm just generally curious of like why.
Rusty's not listening
Is
to
this
these
why?
things.
Yeah, like why are you guys? Why are you guys actively against it?
Sure. So I'll go first, and just let me say my thing.
Yeah, no,
and
I'm here.
don't-
I'm just here to listen. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say maybe a mean thing or two, but so for me, like I look at Smash Brothers and I think they did. For me, if I was gonna be reductive, they made like the Ultra Super Smash Brothers Wii U version. They skipped Super and they skipped Turbo and they just went straight to like Ultimate.
Right.
Like it just feels very iterative. But I can also say the same thing about Forza Horizon. So, like I said, I'm just speaking from how I feel. And I think the World of Light mode sounds not great at all from what I've seen. I don't like. I don't like how you have to unlock all those. I expected when you open that game up that I needed like a microscope to look at that character select screen, and it's kind of a bummer that you have to unlock all of that shit. I think it's really great that it's a celebration of video game history. And like we said in Best Music, that's why I voted for it, because it really does feel like not only a celebration of video game history, but also a incredible undertaking from the composers. Because like in the end of the day, like yes, these properties are here, but maybe not a lot of the people who touch those properties are here. Like in terms of development, but like the music showed that. Like here are folks who like had maybe a history with that, and that's why I thought yes, that's why it should win Best Music. And I'm also new to Smash Brothers. Like it didn't click for me until Wii U, and then I was like, oh, I get this, and I really like Wii U a lot. But for me, this feels a little bit more the same with some new changes that change how like the meta and how you would play that Wii U. Like we no longer need to play Wii U because you could if you wanted those specific rule sets, specifically with blocking and dodging. I know they made a lot of changes to that. But at the end of the day, for me, it feels like I'm giving Ultra Street Fighter 4 a W, which Ultra Street Fighter 4 is a great video game, and it's the last like version of Street Fighter 4 that people play. But I just don't feel comfortable doing that. I think it's a great celebration. But really, honestly, when they announced that, like when they showed that teaser at the Direct, I was disappointed because I knew it was going to be something built upon Wii U instead of something new, because there's no goddamn way in hell that they could have a new Super Smash Brothers from the ground up ready to go so soon. And so that's why I feel that.
Okay.
I will say, Smash is easily the most fun I've had with a game this year.
It's up there for me, yeah.
Like, I do in my write-up is like I played it for a week straight with my brother after we both got home from work. It was just like we were just on a team and we just had 2-3 CPUs on another team, and it was just so much fun. It was just like, and I love, like, that's one of the reasons I love Smash, is that it does that. It brings it together. And it's a really good memory for me. But I totally understand what you mean, George.
No, I totally see it. I see the point of view, yeah.
I get it. Like as somebody who's always loved Smash Brothers, like I get why people don't like Smash Brothers. Like it has never been a begrudging thing for me. Like I feel like we touch on it pretty well in like podcasts.
Like I will say, it's a fighting game. That's how. It's a fighting game. That's where I'm on.
Yeah,
you have respect in you. But like. Logan, I want you to also say, like, you
and I want to,
obviously,
after Logan, I got some thoughts too.
Like, obviously, I'm going to come at it from a more personal perspective than George will, and like, not from an analytical perspective, but like, I've been the guy who said for forever, like, I don't get Smash, right? And, like, Smash has always been for me, like, arguably the biggest cross for me, which is like, in my time video games, like, I don't get it, like, I don't enjoy these games, and there's always so much blowback for Smash from them. People are like, I get Smash. And it's like, I don't like Smash. I don't enjoy these games, but it's like I don't think they're bad. I don't enjoy these games.
Right.
But there's so much thing, right? And it's I feel like it's such a, I mean, me and Axel did a podcast a week ago for Input where it's like, it is such a lonely hill to be on, to be like, I don't like Smash, and I don't even, like, I just don't, it's not for me. I don't get it. Like, I don't have these childhood memories of playing Smash, and like,
that guy at the party is all like, yeah.
And I might have been like, yeah, cool, man. Like, how about we boot up like Nightfire? Let's go, boys. But like,
I knew you were Nightfire.
Nightfire was a Nightfire.
Nightfire's fucking dope, and it's
so
like,
good.
Low key, one of like the 2 or 3 best James Bond video games. But it's like
a best old game.
But yeah, shut up.
I'd vote for that.
Let's go.
But it's like I don't like, and so it's like think of like it is such a lonely thing to be like the only person who doesn't like Smash, or like seemingly the only person who doesn't like Smash for like 26 years now, right? And it's just been like there's not a lot of like people who are like, yeah, like I get it, and then it's also the guy who also doesn't like Zelda doesn't help me either. But it's like it's like I would not be comfortable with Smash being a game of the year for IP. Just in the where I'm at with Smash, and like also like looking at this again, it's like cool, like I am happy that Quin got to play Smash for a week with his brother, and I'm happy that 3 of us did a Smash podcast for like
Yeah, we had a great
5
podcast.
months.
It was a good podcast.
And like really popular podcast and everything. It's like it's awesome. I love that. I love people being excited about Smash, but it's not for me, and it's like never been for me. And like it doesn't even feel like that welcoming for me. It's like cool. I think there are games in this list that I suppose most of us can be like, I feel comfortable having played that game, or like even like including that with like game of the year for this site that I'm a part of title in a way that smashes it for me. And like we're gonna get to in a second too, but like I don't even played Monster Hunter World. Like I don't even have thoughts. That's me where it's like that's where again going back to like why I think it's Spider-Man ultimately. It's like we've all played some part of Spider-Man.
Right.
We all at least have like thoughts and have like again like I think I'm the most negative in the game, and if I'm the most negative in the game, then I think Spider-Man ultimately will probably be the game of the year.
Okay.
I have some thoughts on Monster Hunter, but I know Scott said he had something.
Yeah, Scott, go ahead.
For my main thing with Smash Brothers and why I didn't pick it as one of my 2 choices was, I guess I feel, and maybe it's because it came out so late in the year, but for me, Smash Brothers Ultimate was a known quantity. Like I knew I was going to love it. I knew I was going to have a great time. It was going to be a blast to play with friends. So I guess I went in expecting to have a blast. While with both Spider-Man and Monster Hunter, it was the unknown variable. It was like you were saying, Mike, how it was your first Monster Hunter, and that was one of the reasons you mentioned it and everything. But it was, I guess, because I knew Smash was going to be amazing, and I guess also because I've only really been playing it for a month or so at this point, I didn't feel like it was my game of the year because I knew it was going to be awesome. It was that known quantity. Whereas with Marvel Spider-Man, it just blew me away. Like I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. And the same with Monster Hunter. Like as I said in my article or my game of the year list, it's like I've wanted to get into the Monster Hunter series for years. Like I've tried them, and it just didn't click. But with Monster Hunter World, it like finally clicked, and everything. It was my Forza Horizon kind of, and that's why that will leave at the end of the day. I think that will leave a Marvel Spider-Man or Monster Hunter World will have a better impact, or like I'll have a better memory of that as opposed to just Smash Brothers Ultimate. At the end of the day, like looking back, it's like Smash Ultimate, man, that was such a good Smash Brothers game. But like I know it will be replaced with the next Smash Brothers, whatever they do. Well, with Marvel Spider-Man, I can always look back and be like, damn.
And this is like
the things they did. That's where
like, not to be like a like George said, not to be like reductive, but it does feel like things like I understand Ultimate is so much bigger and so much more expansive. And this great giant sprawling thing, as opposed to like prior Smash games. It's also like it is not necessarily. I don't think it's a massive, like Scott said, like a massive surprise or massive reinvention necessarily.
If this was 2014 and you wanted to make an argument for Smash Bros. Wii U as Game of the Year, I would hear it and I'd be here maybe for it. But
like, I just don't think that it is as kind of even like necessarily surprising or kind of revelatory or like different, right? And like again, like Alex has, I think, similar thoughts to me in a way about Spider-Man and what it does in terms of like open world games, and how maybe different or not different it is. But that's at least like it's the first Spider-Man game like that, right? Like it's something different. Like it's a superhero game, and like that's a genre that is so kind of, I feel like, malnourished in terms of like actual great standard quality games.
Yeah.
And I just think that Smash, while still a great game, still a fantastic game, is maybe just like when we're going for like the game of the year and so we are splitting hairs, it is like I think that's one of the things that is going to also possibly push it back as well, right?
Yeah.
No, totally. And I mean, like, I was gonna say, I wasn't sitting here trying to like champion it to win or by any means, but legitimately wanted your thoughts, and I wanted the discussion for Smash to happen because, like you said, 3 people hosted a podcast here for literally half of this year, and like there's 4 people here in this podcast.
One of them ditched you on that hill.
Yeah, there's 4 people here that like it's on the game of the year list, and like probably I can't remember exact numbers, but I want to say like all four of us also like at least top 5 Smash. So like I feel like I at least wanted to just discuss it.
Okay, that's a good point.
Oh, yeah.
Like I feel like it was just worth discussing still.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, I guess like the consensus keeps coming back to Spider-Man, which again
Let's
as
talk about Florence. You know what I mean, George? You got this.
Yeah, Florence is a very good video game. I mean, the music is
Let's
great.
talk about Spider-Man. How about that?
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I feel with Mike about Spider-Man. Like, I like it a lot, but at the same time, like, and I think they had to make a game that was iterative on designs made by games that came before it to make a solid foundation that they could make something else from, and a product that they could show Sony and Marvel, like, here, we delivered you the base minimum of what a AAA Spider-Man could and should be. From now on, we have something to play with. But
I think it sets the bar for like superhero games. Period. Like,
but I would hope those superhero games would get way more weirder and go outside the comfort zone that Spider-Man is in, and I think it needed to be in.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that in my personal list, that would be like 7 or 8. But I think we can all gather on Spider-Man. That's why I said I don't know how. It's not a Florence joke. Like, I feel very strongly about Florence.
Yeah,
other folks
obviously, me and
see
George
it,
here. Yeah,
maybe, but if not, that's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I don't want to be the guy, but like I do not feel strongly about it.
I'll also be that guy and say I do not feel strongly about Florence.
Listen, I'm not having my Tetris argument. I was just gonna have my Florence argument.
And that's the thing, George. Obviously, is right for me. Where it's like, hey, my game of the year got shut out before we even got like 10 seconds into the actual top 10. So like, I mean, like I think Florence is a fantastic video game. Me and George have been banging the drum on it for the entire game of the year discussion.
Very happy it's on this list. I wanted it to be on this list.
Yeah,
like,
it definitely should be. Yes.
I would have said like Florence was even
absolutely
top list
should
no matter
be,
what. Yeah, like, but like, ultimately, it's that point again of just like the minute we had this top 10, like the minute when I made this top 10, I was like, it's going to be this one video game. It's going to be Spider-Man, because that thing of like we all like Spider-Man today. We all like the video game. Like we might want it to be better. We might have issues with like how it does certain things. We might think it maybe is or isn't revolutionary in certain ways or groundbreaking in other ways, but like we all like the video game, right? Like it's that simple. Like whereas Smash is like divisive, whereas Monster Hunter, some of us haven't played it, whereas this is like Spider-Man might legitimately be the only game in the entire set every one of us has played. And not and more to the point,
Trainer's voice though.
And more to the point, every one of us liked our time with Spider-Man. I played Spider-Man for like 6 hours, but I liked Spider-Man at that time. Like I didn't think it was the best game ever, but I liked my time with it, right? And like I'm like I'm the person who probably enjoyed it the least, and I like it, and I'm saying it's probably game of the year for us. Like
it's also like a happy game in a lot of ways that
in a year that
not many dies.
So there's a lot of. I mean, there's some dark moments in there.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert!
We're at the end of game of the year.
It's true. I mean, like, but like it's an uplifting game. It's an
inspired game.
It's inspiring. Like it is. You get like some of the things that are now like my favorite parts about Spider-Man. Like you get Miles' story in this game. You get.
I wish his dad didn't die, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, God, just dropping all the death bombs.
That was like the lowest part of that game for me.
I know.
Yeah,
but like,
real sad.
It made me real sad, and like that moment, I think is like really evocative and cool. Like it's different than anything else in that game. I think it's effective. Like I was surprised when I got there. I think Spider-Man is like, even if like to me, I was bummed out because it was kind of just another open world game. I still finished it and I still played it and I still love the Insomniac parts about it. I love the Spider-Man parts about it.
Yeah.
In the I mean, we've given it other awards, like the backpacks and like the pictures of it.
Yeah, I think
polished. It's a gorgeous video game, right? Like, it was nominated in best like music too. Like
give Insomniac a W, which I'm glad about.
Yeah, exactly, right? And like,
I stand.
I think, I think it's worth saying that like, even though it is a lot of the like typical open world stuff of like climbing towers, it's like they still, at least in my opinion, like still made it fun to do. Like it showed that like even though it's like the same stuff over and over, like I wouldn't say over and over again, but like the same stuff you've seen in a lot of other open world games. Like the fact that they can make a game and still make those still fun to do, like I think is like I respect that in and of itself.
Yeah. And if you don't like them, you can just skip them, like I did. I just skipped all of them.
Like there's a lot of like dumb pipe dream mini games and like those little mini games.
Shout out to BioShock.
Yeah, you can like I skipped all of those and like
but
I liked a lot of the like even just like blasting up a building and getting on top of a dumb tower, and it shows me a bunch of icons. I'm just like, all right,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
gonna go to all these dumb icons because I like swinging around the city and it's fun. Like
That Mike just said the keyword for me too, where it's like that swinging around in New York City feels
yeah,
Feels
amazing.
Yeah.
It's, I like in George,
like,
yeah,
it's
but like
the,
I
it's the,
love.
it's the baseline, like
Yeah,
like if they made because they made just like the movement and like the swinging and the movement just all around just extremely
so
like
good.
fun.
Yes.
It just
So
makes
good.
doing those kind of more mundane, usual open world tasks like fun.
And it gives them
Yeah.
room to like mess around with for a sequel, like maybe
Yeah.
implement a trick system. I don't know.
yeah, like and again, like
Well, you could do tricks.
There's kind of a trick system.
and like
It's
me,
not
like,
very deep.
yeah,
Alex
Yeah.
is next to me at PAX West when we each played this game at the demo station. Like I spent literally the entire 30 minutes I
Yeah.
played the game just around. Like I didn't do
Yeah,
anything. I
so
just
did I.
walked
Same.
around the entire time.
I
That's
just-
all I did.
I did the same thing. Of just like I
It
went to a
feels-
highest
I
point and like
love swinging.
I went to
Yep.
I just did something really dumb. I was like, I'm gonna swing to a highest point and try and do. And I was like a 5-year-old kid, like when you're on a swing set,
Yeah.
and you try to like swing yourself
Yeah.
super high. I was
Yep.
like doing that where I was like swinging myself like around a thing,
Yeah.
seeing if I could get fast enough to like even myself out, just because why the fuck not, kind of thing.
One of my
What-
coworkers, came up to me and told me that they thought the swinging in Spider-Man 2 was better than this one, and I haven't talked to them since.
Yeah, it's a good.
I mean, I wanna say
You don't need that kind
that-
of.
Yeah,
You don't need that in your life.
I'm
The
into that kind of
swinging
negativity,
can
though.
be better. That's all I'll say. It could be better.
I think there are ways to make it better, but like they
It was
Swing, that swing is
damn good.
There will
yeah.
be more
it's really
games. This
Yeah.
is my Spider-Man 2 thing.
Yeah.
Spider-Man
For,
2 is the only game in that fits into this description that I liked from this year of like I can't wait for the sequel.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
everything in Spider-Man that sets up for the sequel just makes me more excited. It doesn't detract away from Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
Whereas
I have to.
other games that do that, it
Yeah.
does detract away from them.
yeah, sure.
For me.
In terms of open worlds, I have to give Insomniac credit because this is like the only open world game I can think of where I never wanted to use the fast travel system.
Mm.
Yeah, I only did it.
Like,
I only did it to get the trophies.
Yeah.
And also,
But it was just so fun to just swing around and occasionally stumble on like, oh, there's a crime happening. It's like, okay, I'll go do that.
but they do the fast travel good too when you're in the subway
exactly,
with the
when you
ridiculous
do-
costume.
Yeah, it's really good.
Quentin, you've been pretty quiet. You also played Spider-Man.
I do, and I really like. Disclaimer: I love Insomniac games. I think
we
next
all
Who
week,
does? Yeah.
They're
they're my,
awesome.
like they're in my top 3 favorite game studios. But no, I felt like it's funny that y'all are talking about all that stuff from Spider-Man, but I fell in love with just like after I beat the game, just having it the city be night and just like taking photos. I really just like doing that and just
Damn good photo system in that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, it's-
Holy.
Yeah.
it's really really fun, and that's the thing is like photo mode in games, like sure it's there in some games, and like some I wish it was there in other games. Like I think I was what was I playing? In fact, I was playing Gris, and I was like this like I need to like
Sorry.
Gris.
Nope.
Gris.
Grease.
Please.
Whatever that game's called. And, like I wish I could just like pause it during certain frames and just take beautiful photos.
I definitely took a lot of screenshots in that
I
game.
took a lot of
Belladonna
screenshots. Yeah, I'm really
said
excited too.
this. That's what I'll say also
Yeah.
because
I wanna, like, print them
game
out.
is like
But no, it's like I just fell in love with just riding, like going up to the top of the map in Harlem and just riding the train back and forth and just like watching the moon hit between the two buildings and watch it reflect on top of the tank. Like that's just my jam, like watching that and just. And
they
I
have
also
so much runway to make that better. Like it's good now, but man,
Yeah,
For a
like, when
first
Insomniac
attempt,
is-
that is fucking nuts.
Yeah, when Insomniac is done with Spider-Man, we're gonna have played some fucking incredible video games.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
We already have in a lot of ways.
so
like-
we
I
made
like
it.
Spider-Man.
that's
Spider-Man.
Ratchet
That's why I said from the very beginning, like, I don't think this is necessarily going to be as divisive as some of y'all might think.
I really like the conversations we had though.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
same.
Yeah.
It's some of the
cool that
favorite.
everyone had different.
We had a really good in-depth conversation on Octopath. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
That was good.
Hey Scott, we had the
Yeah,
same
it's-
for
we did do that yesterday though.
We did.
listeners.
Yeah, on one of the days
true.
we did for sure.
I put it forward for best styles.
Best
And music.
I feel like
Listen,
putting on the list is like giving it that pity win pretty much.
But it's not a pity win. Like
But
I
it's
said it.
like, hey, it's like it's a top 5 game on my list. I like Octopath a lot. But
yeah,
but
I
it's
think
just
it
that's-
represents all of us. Like I
Yeah.
think, like I said, not my kind of game, and probably not all of our kind of game, but like it represents you two in a way, and it's
Yeah.
a game that both of you felt really good about.
And
So,
also,
like,
you guys sold me on it. I was very much like, I don't want to have a best looking category because I think Octopath looks like bad. Like, but
Mm.
with the music, you guys like made a really good pitch for it. Because initially, when you put it on the doc, I was like, it sounds good, but it just sounds like generic JRPG shit. And when you gave me the context, when I looked, and I took it all as a whole, I was really sold on it.
I'll
So-
say doing this way because again, this was all very experimental. Like having just 10 games and 1 wins is way better in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say probably.
That's why I
like
said it.
be-
Also,
I
it's an
don't think
easy
not
year.
think it'd be
It's an
that
easy
divisive.
year.
Yeah,
It's easy,
but
yeah.
it's a matter of like everything here is on the chopping block, right? Everything here can
Mhm.
win.
That's also true.
And like we're gonna have conversations about multiple of these games, and it's not a matter of like, well, this is 3 right now, so I don't think it should win. It's like
right.
it's just not a part of that, and
Mhm.
I like that. I appreciate that as someone who's done this a lot before.
And
The
has to
Rational
do it
Passions-
again.
And again, yeah, this weekend, fucking wish me luck, y'all.
I think that top 10 list is very
I'm praying for you.
reflective of
This is
yeah.
a great list.
I
Yeah.
hate
Yeah.
it.
Good list.
I like it.
That list is Rational Passions 2018 Game of the Year
Mhm.
goes to Marvel Spider-Man, with runners-up being God of War, Florence, Forza Horizon 4, Tetris Effect, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Monster Hunter World, Grease, Octopath Traveler, and Celeste.
I'm proud of that list.
That's a good
In no
list.
particular order.
In no
as a
particular
reminder.
order.
Yeah.
Yeah, with 1 winner, 9 runners-up. I hope folks out there like this. This is the first time we've done this. It's going to be on the IPP feed. I think it's going to draw in a bit of a different crowd, much like irrationalpatches.com draws in a bit of a different crowd. It's been fun being able to talk to Jurge
Yeah.
and Logan about their stuff.
Mhm.
And
Thank you for talking about Florence, because after you guys
Man,
talked
I'm
about that,
fucking-
I
if I
played
didn't play
it.
that game
and-
before these
man.
conversations, man, it was way different.
Man,
It's-
oh man.
I myself have been introduced to a lot of really. I'm probably going to
Mhm.
download and play Omen Sight tonight.
Hell yeah.
And
Just
yeah, I
play
thank you to
Arcana
Mike,
class.
Scott, and Quinn for bringing like a new flavor, a new vibe, and new feelings, new opinions to this. Like I think you all did a really great job, and things will only get easier hopefully from here.
That's what they say.
Right now, we're gonna do this again next year, but assuming we're all still around.
Kingdom Hearts #1.
Kingdom Hearts is
Ah,
gonna be
fuck.
number
That's again. Ah, jeez.
But like I hope folks listening like this. I'll say this. I'll make this request of you, listener. If you have thoughts, feelings, you liked it, you didn't like it, or you have feedback, just let us know at Irrational Pod.
Yes, please.
On
Please
our
let us know.
Discord.
On our Discord. I don't know how to get you there, but I'm sure if you look at any of our YouTube videos, you can get a link to
Yeah,
get there.
there'll be a link.
To take it from the top, I'm just going to announce the winners here of everything of our Game of the Year for 2018. The best design level goes to the First Date in Florence. The best old Game of the Year goes to Hollow Knight. The best surprise goes to Astrobot Rescue Mission. The best music goes to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The best style goes to Return of the Obra Dinn. Best use of world building goes to the collectibles in Spider-Man. The best game that might have been overlooked goes to Iconoclast, and our Game of the Year for 2018 goes to Marvel Spider-Man. Those are good
Whoa.
games. Thank you all so much for listening, for supporting us. If you have not watched it, we're going to have some Game of the Year content going up with all of these podcasts, videos, kind of highlighting the winners and runners up for each category, and some kind of written VO video for Spider-Man, our Game of the Year. I'm really excited for 2019. I'm really hopeful for 2019.
Yeah, absolutely.
2018 obviously is a big year since all 6 of us plus Jarrett got to do a bunch of really cool stuff and got to go to a bunch of cool places, and we're going to do that again and hopefully bigger.
A lot of cool games coming out in 2019, folks.
Yes.
I think at least half of next year's Game of the Year awards will come out in the first 4 months of 2019.
I don't even know what the back half looks like.
We don't even know
honestly.
what
We don't know.
2019 looks like.
We Animal Crossing,
Animal Crossing,
Resident Evil, I imagine, will be on there.
Hell
Kingdom
yeah,
Hearts,
it's gonna be on there.
Kingdom Hearts, I think, will be on the discussion. We'll
In the
have Anthem.
Conversation. Anthem might be there.
Anthem, I
Division
think, will be
2?
there. Division
Sekiro.
2,
Division 2, yeah.
Crackdown,
Crackdown won't be there. but,
could be.
Probably won't
Could
be
be.
there.
Best use
Sekiro.
of best
May
use
Cry
of,
5,
best use of world
Sekiro,
building.
Shadows
when
Die
Terry-
Twice,
Terry Crews
Mortal
just yells
Kombat
at
11.
in the game. Best use of
All
world
right.
building is just gonna be Terry Crews.
Yeah, it's Terry Crews.
Yeah.
No, Terry Crews' best use of world destroyed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Got him.
Whoa.
Woo!
His pecs, man. Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Oh fuck!
shit.
All right, no more 2019 hype cast.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah. We could all die in a horrific meteor like hits the planet.
Yeah.
Like
That's the spirit.
Also, shout out to us for spoiling the OK Beast game in your podcast.
Well, theirs is out like
This is like a month
ago.
after.
yeah, this is like
I
2
know,
or
but
3
it's like
weeks.
the
out.
They
ultimate
really
filter.
picked Smash? Are you fucking?
Yeah,
that's such a-
I mean, I guess I'm gonna just fully unspoil it in some ways, but they did a
Alex
thing where we did, where they
O'Neil-
just went like, can we all just hold hands on this because it's one everyone feels kind of okay about, and everyone was just like, yeah.
Okay.
Alex O'Neil
They
said
kinda
it so
did the same
perfectly earlier
thing.
when he was like, "Okay, Beast, the fucking heel of IPG."
We love you, OK Beast. Look for more OK Beast cross Irrational Passions collaborations in 2019.
Yes.
There might be a month where Blessing and I switch places, so get excited for that.
Wait for.
I'm taking a
On-
sabbatical
on-
for a month,
on-
Alex.
on
Yeah.
I have to
Wait,
take a leave. of
I'd really like to
absence.
see Blessing try and do a podcast with Tony and Scott.
Oh, dude, I fucking live for it, man. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, for supporting us. We love you all very much. Happy to announce patreon.com/. No, I'm just kidding.
Jesus
It's like,
I was about to just like
What?
triple take at my camera and just be like, wait, what?
What? The biggest.
did that get lost in Slack?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, it was in the editorial. No one checks that
It wasn't
one.
random.
Yeah, it
It was in hashtag random.
Hashtag random. Hashtag random. We're launching a Patreon. Hashtag
We have a
random.
Patreon now.
Thank you, everyone. We love you all. We love video games. We love everyone that makes all of these amazing games that we talked about. Thank you, everyone, for making games.
Making games.
Yes.
Because
Thank
they're
you.
incredible, and they make all of our lives better and happier. Thank you,
Mhm.
thank you, thank you.
Like the Quiet
Thank
Man.
you, George. Except for the Quiet Man. Thank you, George. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Quinn. Thank you, Logan.
Hey.
And thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I've been your host.
Thank you,
O'Neil.
Alex.
Oh, thank you. I've been your host, Alex O'Neil. Play your game, stay rational. We will talk to you all next year.
We're in next year.
Yeah, when this comes out, it will be this.
Shit!